Figure Eight Championship charge. The brand new Indianapolis Speedrome pace truck. This special pace vehicle that was completed only last night is on the racetrack and ready to roll. And as we get set for the start of this contest, that beautiful shiny pace truck may be the only beautiful and shiny piece of asphalt or sheet metal left at the end of what could be a grueling, determined, and intense night of competition. We checked the special weather radar here at the Indianapolis Speedrome. There's no rain within about 60 miles of us. There's one little front that's developing up in the northwest part of the state, but it's not going to get anywhere close to Indianapolis. We're going to stay with good weather throughout the entire evening. Pace vehicle lights are off. Pace vehicle now looks for the relative safety and security of someplace else as the field for the World Figure Eight Championship gets set for start. Remember, this is an endurance race. The racers know deep down inside that they cannot win this event just on the start, but strange things happen when you get set for a figure eight race in the Indianapolis Speedrome. All these guys get the feeling that it's going to be their race and they've got to push as hard as possible every inch of the way. As these drivers now get set for the special challenge of the World Figure Eight Championship, they start to pick up the pace through turns number 3 and 4. Bear and Dawsey get on the throttle hard. They come to the green flag, and the fireworks light up the night sky to let the world know that the World Figure Eight Championship 25th anniversary is in hand. And there's Dawsey and Bruce Tunney, the last two winners of the World Championship, who immediately come to the lead as the clock has started. The third place goes Bear. Fourth place goes to Sizemore. Fifth place goes to Bill Tunney Jr., and then you've got the number 69 of RJ Norton as we finish lap number 1. Already there are cars stuck in the middle of the crossovers. Ritchie, the number 95, just barely gets through. And the last two guys from the racetrack, Neslick and Garrigus Jr., will go one lap down as we finish lap number 2. At the intersection, Ritchie comes through the first crossover confrontation, barely getting through the intersection. Now there's Rackley, the number 49, waiting for cars to come through. And the number 41 of Casey White will be the first driver out of the event, stopping at the backstretch only after a couple of laps are completed. Three-car breakaway going for the lead. Dawsey, Bruce Tunney, and Bear running first, second, and third, and Ritchie almost takes out several cars, beginning with the number 17 of George Sutton. A three-car breakaway going for first place. This Gordon Brown almost takes out the number 51 of Rodney Sizemore. And already the intense crossover confrontations are beginning to come close and fast. The number 2 of Dawsey, side by side with the number 1 of Bruce Tunney for first place. And the crossover, the number 95 of Ritchie almost takes out former world champion in the number 9, Leonard Basham. And how can Ritchie keep on doing this? He's taking incredible crosses in the intersection, and he somehow keeps on going. Tunney in crossover traffic takes the lead away from the number 2 of Dawsey. First lead change of this World Figure Eight Championship. Two cars stopped at the intersection. Machine's going the wrong way on the track. Neslick looks for a way to go up through it. Has a wall of metal facing him. He'll have to keep on going through. Gordon Brown slams the brakes and stops just short of the intersection. Now he's going to be overwhelmed by a group of cars that include the lead pack. The number 1 of Tunney, for the first time in this event, is starting to pull away. The gap is all of about 10 car lengths as we come to finish lap number 7, midway through the 3rd minute of this 3-hour figure eight endurance contest. Tunney at the intersection has to go between the cars of Ware and Fenwick, and that allows the number 2 of Dawsey to catch back up and roll back into the lead on lap number 7. Lap number 8, I should say. And Fenwick almost gets to Bear at the intersection. It's a side-by-side battle. We could see this all night between the number 1 of Tunney and the number 2 of Dawsey as the number 41 of White comes off the track. He'll be the first guy to come and make a pit stop. And let's see if we're going to bring our first alternate on. Yes. At 2.5 minutes into this event, Kevin Ford is put onto the racetrack midway through the 9th lap of this 3-hour figure eight endurance race. Now there's Fred Bear in the number 94 coming to 2nd place around the number 2 of Dawsey and drops to 3rd. 4th place is the number 51 of Rodney Sizemore. And the intersection 5th place will go to the number 5 of Bill Tunney Jr. 6th place to the number 97 of Stewart. And at the intersection, the leaders slant on in both directions and almost clocked the number 12 of Wayne Arnold. Behind those drivers, you'll have the number 9 of McMurtry trying to move up, the number 77 of Garrigus, 18 Heiser, the number 33 of Doug Gregg doing side-by-side battle with the number 42 of Anderson, then the number 69 of Norton, the number 17 of Sutton, the number 21 of Dalvin, 87 Turner, and 71 of Frost. Mike St. John to the number 7 and Wayne Arnold to the number 12. I've dropped back to about 3/4 of the lap behind the leaders as if they know traffic as I see it. 5 drivers battling for the lead. Heavy traffic in the crossover. The number 17 descended to the number 71 across, just barely get out of the way. So many close encounters this early in the race. And a car on fire, exploding into flames. The number 112 of Townsend. The rear end of that car is on fire back near the fuel tank. Townsend keeps on going. The yellow comes out, and track workers scramble to try to catch up to Townsend's car to put out the fire before it goes out of control. And finally, the fire is out.
Fuel leak on top.
We understand there was some sort of fuel leak on Thompson's number 112, and that fuel leak exploded into flames while the car was at full speed. Thompson realized that there was trouble and finally stopped the car, bringing out the first caution midway through the 4th minute of the 180 minutes of the World Figure 8 Championship. That was the first time we've seen something that scary at the Indianapolis Speedrome since Jack Dandy, one of the famed Michigan invaders, dragged his fuel tank around the track for 5 laps and set the fuel tank on fire. As we come around the track, Brett Baer for the moment has the lead in the number 94, barely waiting for the pace truck to catch up to him. Second place is going to be the number 1 of Bruce Tunney. Then you've got the number 2 of Dawsey, the number 51 of Rodney Sizemore, the number 5 of Bill Tenney Jr. The surprise at the front of the field at the first sequence of this race is the number 97 of Kenny Stewart, who we have unofficially in 6th place. 7th place is the number 21 of Dalvin. I'll give 8th place to the number 17 of Sutton. 9th place, the number 42 of Anderson. 10th place, 87 Turner. Then the number 9 of McMurtry, the number 71 of Frost, the number 18 of Heiser, the number 33 of Greg, 69 of Norton, and then just like old times, the number 12 of Wayne Arnold and the number 7 of Mike St. John running side by side, but certainly not pushing the issue, neither of those drivers, realizing it's an enduro and not a sprint. Well, I've been waiting all year to be able to use that phrase, exploded in flames.
They're going to get ready to turn off the pace truck. His mom is going to have first inspection 112. We'll be allowed to return.
The number 112 car could have a chance to get back into the race, but it turns out that car's going to have to be inspected by our technical director, Dennis Love, before we can put that car back in action. Getting set for the restart this next time by. The green will come back at the beginning of lap number 16, and at the close of the 7th minute of this World Championship event. Bear hit a marker tire coming out of the 4th corner in the restart, and that will help give the lead to the number 1 of Bruce Tunney. Then the number 2 of Dawsey side by side with the number 94 Bear. Bear comes to lead back to 3rd place, losing 2 spots in 1/2 lap. Bear tries to fight back to the 94, but he'll hold ground as now it's a side by side battle for 4th place between the number 51 of Sizemore and the number 5 of Bill Tunney Jr. And then you've got the Rackley number 49 trying to get through there. Rackley's already a lap or so down, and there's Gordon Brown tiptoeing through the intersection, and Garrigan Sr., one of the alternates in the 007 car, the second alternate, is hung up in the infield and keeps on going, although he's already lost more ground to the leaders. He has to wait for traffic to come through. And now there's Dawsey, inside move on Tunney, coming into turn number 3 of lap number 19, charging for the lead. Tunney does not back down. He tries to carry speed out of the final corner. The leaders get some slack from everybody else. Tunney loses the lead to Dawsey. There's Tunney fighting back to the inside of Dawsey, coming out of the 2nd turn on the 20th lap. It's 4 wide in the intersection is Dawsey, and Tunney slight between the Ware and the number 9 of Basham cars. Those Southern champions have already gone a lap down. At the intersection, Mike St. John almost gets taken out, and Tunney and Dawsey collide as they bounced off the Eslick car. Dawsey tries to get restarted. He's sideways, and the entire field is dropped back. Dawsey getting taken out of that incident with Sizemore, the number 51. Those drivers both lose ground, but don't have major damage to their cars. Bear has the lead of the number 94. 2nd place to Tunney. 3rd place to Tunney. Bruce in 2nd, Bill in 3rd. Then several lap cars back to the number 21 of Dalvin. Then you've got a battle for 5th place. Let's see, the number 42 of Anderson moving up and out dragging the number 23 of Van Meter. The number, I believe Van Meter may be a lap down. I'll have to double check on that one. Then you've got the number 17 of Sutton and the number 97 of Stewart, who stays steady up there. We're seeing smoke with the number 49 of Rackley. That lap car is going to be a factor. Tunney fights back after the incident, charging through the intersection. Tunney turns to engage the number 94 Bear. That's Bruce Tunney trying to take on Bear for the lead. 3rd place, Bill Tunney Jr. as they come out of the 4th corner of the 23rd lap of this 180-lap race. Then you've got the 2 Louisville area drivers that are a lap down, the number 6 of Ware and the number 9 of Bash almost got turned around by the number 6 of Ware. It's getting more and more dangerous every lap of the intersection as these drivers, with no fear of the crossover, almost with no respect of the horrible damage that can happen if they stray into the intersection at the wrong time. Again, this is a 3-hour endurance race. It's not a sprint, but you couldn't tell that by the way these leaders are charging through, as Bruce Tunney leads in 1, second place 94 Bear, third place is number 5 of Tunney. Then way back, about a half lap back in 4th place is the 21 of Dalton, and there's Anderson in the number 42 running in 5th place. 6th place is the number 17 of Sutton. Tunney had one of those close encounters in the intersection just a lap or so ago, and had to just keep on going. After that incident, Dulcie, the number 2, has, oh, how did the number 49 of Eslick get between Ware and Ford? There was not room for that maneuver. We are waiting for a crash that never came. At the intersection, there's Wayne Arnold almost taking out Bill Tunney Jr. at the number 94 Bear, just barely managing to get on through. As you mentioned, for those drivers who are involved in that early encounter, that 3-car field that included Bruce Tunney, Dulcie, and Sizemore. Sizemore's definitely doing a lot better from all those drivers. Everybody else is desperately looking for a way to get through the intersection one way or the other. At the crossover, Bruce Tunney hesitated at the intersection, almost got center punched by his brother, who now takes advantage of that and tries to go for the lead out of turn number 4. And can't make it go. Tiny gap between the Bill Tunney Jr. and Bear car, and that almost took out the number 97 of Turner. Circulating through the infield aimlessly is Garrigus Sr. in the 007. He'll manage to get restarted, but he's lost a lot of ground. At the crossover, McMurtry has the pull-up short and almost gets blasted by the number 42 of Anderson, and somehow keeps on going. With all the close encounters we've had so far, and we're barely 11 minutes, 12 minutes into this race, at the crossover, George Sutton almost got hit by 3 other cars. How much longer can these drivers play the ultimate game of chicken in the Indianapolis Speedrome and keep on winning? It's not physically possible to do this for 3 hours, but somehow they keep on going it for barely 3 minutes. Times 4. And now the Tunney brothers are up in front, starting to battle each other hard for position. Bruce in the number 1, Bill Jr. in the 5, coming to the intersection. They gotta watch out for Fenwick and several other cars, and they just barely managed to get on through. Contact between Eslick and Sutton almost takes out several other machines, and the crossover is completely blocked. Tunney's have no place to go. Bill Jr. goes left, Bruce goes right. There's just a room for Bill to take the lead. Bruce immediately tries to come back on his brother's tail and has to watch out for Bear. That now closes up on Bruce as we see Doug Gregg go a lap down to the number 33. It's been total insanity so far. I don't believe how proud it's been in the crossover. That time Bill had to slow down, and Bruce charges to the inside and takes first place back after Bill Tunney Jr. may have led 1 or 2 laps in this World Figure 8 Championship. And Bear is the only driver that has been able to stay within contact of the Tunney. Then you've got the 21 of Dalvin, number 23 of Van Heemers running strong as if he's battling for position on the lead lap. Then the 42 of Anderson, the number 18 of Heiser. The 9 of McMurtry is now off the pace, and he just barely gets through the intersection. Then Arnold, Turner, the number 51 of Sizemore, then the number 71 across, the number 17 of Sutton, and the number 2 of Dawsey, the number 7 of St. John, and then the 97 of Stewart, all called unofficially your last driver on the lead lap. And Stewart, who looked very strong in the early laps of this event, is about ready to go 1 lap down. Dawsey, the number 2, may have suffered some damage in that incident with Tunney and Sizemore earlier. Dawsey has not been able to cut his way through traffic, and now is within a couple of seconds of going 1 lap down. After 25 laps of this event, the leader was the 94 Bear. Second place was Bruce Tunney in 1T. Third place was Bill Tunney Jr., the number 5. Now there's the number 95 of Richie backing on the Harvest Way. 21 Dalton was 4th. Anderson surprisingly strong with the number 42. Maybe that should be any surprise after Rizzi is the champion. That's number 51 of Sizemore, 87 Turner, 71 Cross, 12 Arnold. And there's Doug Gregg almost getting hit at the intersection by the number 23 of Van Meter. Where are the leaders? The leaders are in heavy traffic coming out of turn number 4. There's a phalanx on the intersection. Bruce Tunney just found a tiny gap between Anderson and and the number 9 of Basham. Tony should have been taken out in that crash, but there was a crash that didn't happen. Here they have again. Cars to the left, cars to the right, trying to get to the intersections, barely get through as there's 3 wide coming in one direction and 2 abreast of the other. Now the leaders cut the heavy traffic. They're trying to put St. John. There's American Senior getting knocked out of the way, but the mad leaders as they go as hard as possible for $25,000 to win, and we haven't even run 15 minutes of this World Figure 8 Championship. Struggling to keep from going 1 lap down as Ford almost takes out Brown and Dalton. You've got Mike St. John. You've got Marty Beware trying to keep from going 2 laps down. Dawsey, Turner, the number 71 of Steve Frost trying to keep him going another lap down. You've got McMurtry and Sizemore and several other drivers as the leaders are bearing down on them. And number 94, Bear, the 3rd place driver, is lost track to the Tunnies, lost touch of the Tunnies. Almost got into several cars. The intersection. Here they come. Bear just barely gets to the intersection as Basham, Norton, and Anderson go through. And there's Anderson going underneath the number 69 of Norton, trying to stay somewhere within striking distance of the leaders. Again, the big story is you've got drivers that are responsible for 9 World Figure 8 championships. Dawsey at the number 2 and St. John at the number 7 are almost going to go 1 lap down here if the Tunnies keep on fighting as hard as possible. About 16 minutes through the first hour of this World Figure 8 Championship. Bruce Tunney's been up in front. Bruce Tunney's been sideways, and so far he seems to have the dominant car with his brother, the second fastest guy. Number 2, Dawsey, seem to have the car that can run with the Tunneys. They've had that car damaged early in the event of a contact in the spin wheel going into turn number 1. And Dawsey's right now doing all he can to hold on to that spot. We're looking at the front suspension of Dawsey's car to try to get some sort of hint of what may have happened. I wonder if Dawsey may not have damaged the front suspension in one of those cars. We're kind of watching the way the A-arms, camber, and caster work on the number 2 to get a hint of what may have happened, and we can't really get that sort of hint one way or the other. Midway through the 16th minute of the first hour of this World Figure 8 Championship, and it's gotten tough for the Tunnies. It's because they're in a big pile of traffic that's going extremely fast that they have not dared to try to overtake. Number 23, Van Meter, bounced off a marker tire. That will give St. John a chance to move around Kenny. As St. John at the number 7 struggles to stay out of the first place number 1 of Bruce Tunney, the second place number 5 of Bill Tunney Jr. Bear, the 94, has a couple of lap cars between himself and the 3rd place machine. Not very many alternates have been put into this race so far because not many machines have dropped out of the contest. So far, the only one that's really gone is the number 41 of Casey White. The 2 alternates being seen on the track so far, Kevin Ford in 50 and the number 007 of Donnie Garrigus Sr. In heavy traffic, a change of position for 3rd. The number 21 of Dalton has used that traffic to move around the number 94 of Bear. I believe that is a change of position for 3rd place. Steve Frost has gone a lap down to the number 71. Fights back to try to get back around Tunney, and does so as Gordon Brown slowed right in front of the leader and almost stops in the middle of the north lobe of the racetrack. Looks as if Gordon Brown may be coming to the pits. No, he circles around and keeps on going. Oh, where did Eslick come from? Eslick almost went on to the oval backstretch and they made a hard left turn where you're supposed to be turning right. I don't know how Eslick got away with that. I thought he was going to hit 6 cars at once, but somehow he kept on going. Gordon Brown gets back underway. 2 cars collide at the north end of the racetrack. Garrigus Jr. in 77 and the number 71 of Frost. Those drivers get back to the intersection, and Garrigus almost gets plastered by the number 2 of Dawsey and the number 51 of Rodney Sizemore. An important note, those drivers, Sizemore and Dawsey, have now gotten away from the leaders. Leaders are stuck in heavy traffic. Bruce Tunney has not been able to get around the number 7 of Mike St. John. There's Wesley Spillers getting onto the racetrack immediately, coming up and hitting the number 94 Bear. He got Bear on the right rear. Let's see if that tire's going to steer me up. Yep, Bear's still lucky to have that tire more or less fully inflated. We're running a 500 lap pace with 55 laps, 18 minutes. Eslick goes for a spin, comes back and clips the number 39 car of Rackley, tearing off much of Rackley's bodywork. Rackley keeps on going. Eslick trying to get restarted. We're still in the green. That's considered to be a minor hazard by World Figure 8 Championship rules. Just a bit of bodywork way out of the groove. Will continue to run at full speed. Bruce Tunney now moving around the number 97 of Kenny Stewart, but pitched off between two cars coming out of turn number 3 and 4 in the one team. Chris Dunning still has not been able to overtake the number 7 of Mike St. John. Now for second place comes the number 21 of Bobby Dowden. In that heavy traffic, Dowden has come from 4th place to pass Bear, and now Bill Tunney Jr. And as Tunney very well, there's the number 49 of Eslick, leaving a trail of fluid behind him as he pulls off the track. And as Eslick makes that pit stop after the contact with the number 49 of Brackley. Looks like Brackley's made a stop as well. There's the contact between the number 21 of Dowden and the number 5 of Bill Tunney Jr. that sent Dowden way low with turn number 2 of lap number 59. Brackley stayed on the track, damaged car or not. Eslick has made a pit stop, and here comes Jerry Lee Ward on the track. Ward is our 4th alternate in the number 31 car. The driver that's been on the charge over the last dozen laps or so has been the number 21 of Dowden, and Dowden has been using traffic to try to catch up to the number 1 of Bruce Tunney. Tunney has been struggling just to stay there with the number 7 of Mike St. John. It's been one of those ironies of the way you work traffic that Mike St. John has been setting the pace in the World Figure 8 Championship, because Bruce Tunney, the leader in the event, has not been able to overtake Mike St. John. Bruce Tunney now makes a move to try to move around St. John through turns number 1 and 2 of lap number 62, midway through. Watch out, trouble at the north end of the racetrack, collision between Wayne Arnold and Jack Dawsey Jr. Dawsey's car comes off the track, now comes back on the track, but Dawsey is now definitely going to lap down. Richie almost runs into the number 77 of Garrigus Jr., and somehow they all keep on going. Dawsey may have damaged the car. Dawsey circulating aimlessly at the north end of the racetrack, trying to see if that car can still run properly. Dawsey is now on the verge of having to make a pit stop. Definitely now Dawsey has damage to the left front corner of the car. And smoke comes from Dawsey's machine as he drives off the track. At the intersection, nearly a 6-car crash that would have taken out Anderson and the number 9 of Basham and the number 51 of Rodney Sizemore, among others. So the first one of our major contenders to be eliminated from this event is Dawsey in the number 2 after 2 incidents, one of which was not a crossover crash but a side-by-side incident at the north end of the racetrack. Dawsey definitely had damage to one of the A-frames on the right front, on the left front corner of that car, which is going to take some time to repair. Bruce Tunney has finally put Mike St. John 1 lap down, and now draws away from St. John by about a quarter lap. And watch out for the number 33 of Doug Frank. And there's, oh, Ford almost got to the number 9 of McMurtry in a wild angle. Danny Turner trying to catch back up to Tunney, trying to get a lap back. Again, here's the way it looks from our unofficial standings. Very unofficial. Looks like the number 1 of Tunney's got the lead. Second place is the number 21 of Dalton, then the number 94 Bear, the number 5 of Bill Tunney Jr. And we have to go way, way, way back to find one more driver that's on the lead lap. Caution has come out. Caution has come out for the spin by the number 9 of Curtis McMurtry. Curtis McMurtry spun the number 9 car over in turn number 4 and is high-centered on a marker tire there. McMurtry has a flat tire on the right rear, and that will bring out the caution. The pace vehicle will come up and pick up the number 1 of Bruce Tunney, the leader of this event. An important point to note that you have to complete every inch of every lap to be scored for that lap. That means if you see a bunch of guys that are lined up at the intersection, they can't just make a hard right turn and follow everybody else. They have to go all the way through the north end of the racetrack, otherwise they will not be scored for that lap. Sorry, keep on trying. One car is going to be pushed off the track, the number 71 of Steve Frost. We're going to need a record to pick up the number 9 of Curtis McMurtry. as we're about halfway through the first hour of this 3-hour figure eight endurance race, and as intense a start as we have ever seen in one of these racing contests. It's been amazing the amount of effort and determination these drivers have shown and the incredible chances they've taken in the crossover. We know we're going to probably jinx somebody by mentioning this, but so far we managed to get away without one bit of contact in the intersection of the Indianapolis Speedrome. All really meaningful contact has come in the corners and not in the crossover. Leading. They're Rudd, Wallace, Dale Jr., Spencer, Harvick, Burton, Wartburg, Hornaday, Jeff Burton, Green, and Tony Stewart. Getting set for the restart coming out of turn number 4, starting the 70, finishing the 72nd lap of this event. Danny Turner in 87 trying to get back on the lead lap. 3 drivers battling to lead up in front. The number 1 of Bruce Tunney, the number 21 of Dalton, and the number 5 of Bill Tunney Jr. running first, second, and third. Then you have to go way back to the number 94 of Fred Bearers running in your 4th spot. Actually, Bearers up alongside Tunney. And in the middle of all that is the number 87 of Danny Turner. Turner is 1 lap down in that car and trying to hold 4th with all those drives just to be able to hold on to the position. 3 cars have crashed over in turn number 1, and one of them is the Mike St. John car. He's got some flames coming out from the carburetor area of that machine. Here come the leaders flying on through. St. John is waving to the flag stand as if lobbying for a yellow. We'll hold down for a couple seconds to see if St. John can get that 7th car to run. He cannot, and so we'll come down to a caution. St. John, the 3-time World Figure 8 champion, last only a couple laps on that restart after struggling for what seemed like 20 minutes to stay on the lead lap. St. John finds himself in a spin that forces, I think he probably got that car to the point that he pretty much flooded the carburetor or something like that. And there was some fire coming out of the carburetor air, as if there was some sort of backfire from raw fuel. St. John, I think, is in pretty good shape as far as the car is concerned. They'll just have to get that car car back to the pit area and maybe find some way to drain the carburetor before they can get that machine back underway. Oh, this is something that, well, all my favorite drivers are fucking up tonight. No, Jeff Gordon is 65 laps down, according to the net. Yep. Well, if I keep on looking at this and get on the closed circuit broadcast of the race, I'll really be embarrassed, so I better log off. Remember, what you have heard on the tape is not happening. What you have heard on the tape is not happening. I was not checking the Richmond results while trying to call the World Figure 8 Championship. It is a figment of your imagination. Midway through the 31st minute of the World Figure 8 Championship, we've lost another championship contender, Mike St. John, who fell a lap down, and then got into it with the number 77 of Donnie Garrigus Jr. St. John has retreated to the pit area. He won't be probably that far away from the Jack Dawsey Jr. crew, who's replacing the left front suspension of that car, which got damaged, I think also in contact with that same guy, Garrigus. Ready for the restart. It's still the Tunney brothers versus Dalton and Bear in the immediate battle for the lead as we come to finish the 31st minute of the first hour of this World Figure 8 Championship. Now we see that the Michigan Invader is now on the track. There's Eric Bucklitz on the track. Jimmy Foster and Steve Pine are also scheduled to come onto the track. They have joined, and we're now using the first 7 of the 26 alternates in this World Figure 8 Championship. As we watch the cars as they fed out in the back of the pack, we also glance to the front of the field where Bruce Tunney for the moment has a 2-length advantage over Dalton, who has a 2-length advantage over the 3rd place, number 5 of Bill Tunney Jr. 4th place is the number 94 Bear. He had a lousy restart and lost ground to the number 17 of George Sutton, and now is about 20 car lengths behind the number 1 of Bruce Tunney. Battle for 2nd place sees the number 5 of Tunney Jr. trying to move around the number 21 of Dalton and not able to make that move. There's the number 38 of Foster sliding through the intersection and almost getting taken out. The number 31 of Ward is spun out of turn number 4. The number 49 of Eslick is meandering around the racetrack with some damage to that vehicle. Remember, Eslick was involved in a spin that saw that machine loop around, and he had to come and make some repairs to that car. Top 3 drivers still under a blanket. In turn number 2, lap number 85, the number 1 of Tunney, the number 21 of Dalton, and the number 5 of Bill Tunney Jr. running 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. How did Bear get through the intersection? There wasn't any room for him to make that move, and somehow he got on through. That was as daring a maneuver as you're going to see, at least in the last 5 minutes. Barrel trying again. He finds a gap between 2 groups of cars, and there's another 6-car crash. On trouble! Moving on fire! Big fire! Foster has the entire engine on fire. The car explodes into flames on the backstretch. Foster's entire engine compartment is on fire and will stay green as the officials will get onto the track during the green flag running and extinguish the fire. Now we'll come down to yellow. Now we will come down to yellow. For the 2nd time tonight, a car explodes into flames during the World Figure 8 Championship, and cars collide during the caution. Heiser with the number 18 plowed to the back end of the number 7 of Mike St. John, as St. John did what he was supposed to and slow up short of the incident scene, and Heiser got into the back of it. First, it was the Thompson car from Florida, the number 112, that had the fuel tank area explode into flame. Then it was the engine compartment of Foster's number 38. And that happened in the 33rd minute of the first hour of the World Figure 8 Championship as the leader comes down to finish lap number 87. Alternate that's scheduled to come onto the racetrack would have been John Laval in the number 87. However, Laval tore that car, the team car to Gordon Brown, up big time during qualifying. And we see that a pit stop is being made by... Well, for a second there, I thought we were going to get a pit stop by Anderson, but Anderson's staying on the racetrack. Number 42 of Anderson, the driver from Louisville, has been one of the pleasant surprises in the Indianapolis Speedrome. Jody Anderson was running with the leaders. We'll have to double check and see if he's still running on the lead lap. This former Louisville Motor Speedway champion has looked extremely strong. Speedrome pace truck pulls away from the 4 leaders who are going to be starting side by side. 1, Bruce Tunney, 21, Bobby Dalton, 5, Bill Tunney Jr., 94, Fred Bear. Dalton forces the issue through turn number 3. Tunney follows through in turn number 4. At full speed, they come to the line. They hit the brakes hard to make that right turn number 1. One car smoking as he went through the intersection. That's Mike St. John to the number 7. Put the glasses on St. John and see if there appears to be anything wrong with that car. Probably thought he might have some sort of tire problem over here, but instead looks like he's in fairly decent shape. Unofficially at 75 laps, the leader was Bruce Tunney. Second place was the number 21 of Bobby Dalton. Third place was the number 5 of Bill Tunney Jr. Then you have the 94 of Bear, the number 12 of Wayne Arnold, the number 51 of Rodney Sizemore, the number 42 of Anderson, and 87 Danny Turner a lap down. Brown stops at the intersection. At the crossover, the number 00 of Buck up to the intersection just barely before the number 21 of Dalton got through there. They'll try to get out of number 4. And there's the Tunney fight up in front as Bill Jr. challenges Bruce. We notice on this restart that the number 21 of Dalton and the number 94 of, at the intersection, the number 21 of Dalton jigged right then left to try to keep running it aware. Number 6, it was that close. Pit stop made by George Sutton to the number 17, from which he returns to the race. There's a spin to the south end of the racetrack for the S-Lick number 49, and Sutton almost got flashed through the intersection just as he came onto the track. S-Lick now will come off the track after having several encounters with disaster in the last couple of laps, and S-Lick's already had to put that car back together again as the number 00 car, Buck, almost got into Brown. At the intersection, Tunney and Tunney almost collect the number 50 of Kevin Ford, and those Tunney brothers have pulled away for the rest of the feed. At the intersection, the number 51 of Rodney Sizemore almost got nailed by the number 17 of Sutton, and going for a spin, the number 18 of Heiser backs over marker tire at the south end of the racetrack. There's a slow-moving clot at the intersection. Everybody somehow gets through it, going right, going left, going up, going down, but somehow going through without nailing anybody. That was as close an encounter as we've had with mass group of cars in the Indianapolis Speedrome this season. And through all this, Bill Tunney Jr. has managed to get his brother Bruce caught in traffic and comes back to the lead. As we start the 37th minute of the World Figure 8 Championship. Start the 38th minute of the championship, I should say. Bill Tunney Jr.'s got about 15 car lengths. At the intersection, Sutton almost gets into Basham. And the number 3 of Fenwick almost get caught by Anderson. Oh, that was close. At the intersection, St. John slows down, so does everybody else, and everybody kind of slips around him right and left. And the middle of that group that had to watch for St. John at the intersection was the number 94 Bear, who was running in 4th place. One of the last drivers on the lead lap, about a half lap behind the new leader of this event, Bill Tunney Jr., the number 5. And the crossover, how did he get out of it that time? There should have been a 6-car crash as they were coming through slow and fast from different angles, and how did they escape? It's getting more and more dangerous at the intersection with every lap. Bill Tunney Jr. almost got hit by the number 3 of Fenwick, and following Fenwick was Brown, who almost got hit by Bruce Tunney. 3 wide in the intersection, and coming through all of that is the number 5 of Tunney. There's Bruce Tunney coming to one side to keep him running into the number 18 of Heiser. This may be the most dangerous sustained period of figure-8 crossover confrontations we've seen in this world champion. Trouble, and it finally broke loose as Steve Bryant ran into Gordon Brown. It finally all broke loose. There's still cars coming in, Gordon Brown at full speed, even though the cautions come out. Also collected RDB Ware in the number 6. Ware will be able to pull away, but his bumper is bent back, almost into the tire. Ware driving away to try to find if that car can run. Everybody's going to drive away for this one, it appears. Even the number 59 of Prine. Prine and those other guys will leave a bit of steel bar work behind, and Prine, as he drives off the track, will drag most of one of those pieces of steel behind him. As we get set for this restart, one driver we understand is going to be held up for a pace car violation. And Bear comes into the pits. Fred Bear makes the pit stop. 20 minutes and 40 seconds elapsed in the world, rather to go. 20 minutes and 43 seconds to go in the World Figure 8 Championship in the middle of lap number 102. Fred Bear Jr., who was running in 4th place, will now come into the pit area and make a stop. And look at this, Van Meter forces his way across the front of the field. Van Meter had been held up for passing the pace car, we were told. And Van Meter certainly exasperated that one by, now he's being held up, by cutting through the intersection, forcing the leaders to wait for him. Who do you think he is, Jeff Gordon? So now we're down to only 3 drivers in the immediate fight for the lead, and 2 of those drivers, as it has been for just about the entire event, are named Tunney. Bruce in the number 1, Bill in the number 5. First and second, then you've got Dalton in the number 21, the only driver within immediate range of getting to them as we close out the 41st minute of the World Figure 8 Championship. Let's see how fast that Fred Bear pit stop was. Here's Country Brown being put into the race as an alternate. There's the number 71 of Steve Frost coming out. There's another alternate, Bill Ellis, the number 15. Ellis is the 10th alternate in this race. And let's see if that's Bear coming through the pit area. No, it's the number 59 of Steve Prine after a quick check for damage after that crash. No immediate sign of Bear in the number 94 car. Bear now will lose at least 2 laps as a result of this stop. Tunney versus Tunney on the restart. Prine with a flattened, rather twisted up left side of that car, still rolls at full speed. Tunney versus Tunney, full power out of turn number 4. Side by side, running each other a little rough. And there's Bruce trying to move around Bill. There's Bill firing back to the inside, side by side for first place. Who's going to back off first going into the 3rd corner? They bump wheels in turn number 3 and 4. They're still dead even side by side. They collect each other. And now the crossover, they almost run to Country Brown. And the number 18 of Heiser. And now Heiser has to watch as the 83 of Brown took Bill and Bruce high through turns number 1 and 2. He almost took out the World Championship leader. Through all of that, now it's Bruce up in front. Bill in second, the reverse of the way they had been running just a few minutes ago. And for just a couple of seconds, it's quiet in the intersection. Another thing we're watching for is the reemergence of Bear in the number 94. At the intersection, there's nowhere to go! And somehow, Bruce Tunney got away from the number 3 of Fenwick, and that gives Bill the lead back. At the crossover, they'll try to do it again, and they almost got into the Anderson car, and Ford was in close quarters as well. We know these Tunney brothers don't have any fear of the intersection, but you wonder if their crew members are thinking about watching these cars being taken to the limit and beyond by these 2 talented and fearless brothers as they almost run into Ritchie and Brown. Brown takes Bill high. Bruce to the inside, and Brown takes the lead out of turn number 4. And Bill tries to fight back with inside position. Going into the first turn of lap number 111, they're side by side just like they were before. As Bill Jr. now gets a length on Bruce. And watch out for Doug Ray at the intersection as barely gets out of the way of the Tunneys. Bill and Bruce first and second place in an electrifying battle for the lead. Hey, you have to come to the intersection. The double zero of Eric Buck almost strays in front of the Tunney fight for first place. And still no sign of the 94 of Fred Bear, who charged off the track and has not charged back into the fight. Over the last couple of laps, Bill Jr. now has himself a substantial lead over Bruce, as eventually sure going to get in this type of racing. It's about 3 car lengths between first and second, as George Sutton meanders to the intersection, almost gets hit by 3 or 4 other cars. And at full speed, Rodney Sizemore had a close encounter with the number 33 of Doug Gregg. At the crossover, it's the number 17 of Sutton, almost gets nailed by both of the leading Tunney brothers. Tunneys now go underneath the number 3 of Fenwick. They have to watch out for Sutton again. And look at the heavy traffic ahead of the leaders. This is going to be impossible. There's nowhere for the Tunnies to go. There's crossover traffic in one direction. There's oh no! George Sutton almost crashed into the number 1 of Bruce Tunney, the intersection. I was waiting for Tunney's car to go flying through the air. It was that close. And Bear's car is finally presented back onto the racetrack. He's lost almost 10 laps, I would think. And now in heavy traffic, Bruce Tunney gets Bill Tunney Jr. picked behind Lawrence car and comes back into first place. At 112 laps, here's the way it looks. You had 5 cars on the lead lap. The number 5 of Bill Tunney Jr. the number 1 of Bruce Tunney. Number 51 of Rodney Sizemore shown in 3rd place. In 4th place, number 21 of Dowden. 5th place, number 12 of Wayne Arnold lap down. Rather on the lead lap. Drew Wayne Arnold is in the lead lap according to our scores. 6th place, Anderson at 44 lap down. At the intersection, Bill Tunney Jr. slowed down from the number 17 of Sutton. Almost got hit back in by the double zero car Buck. And a spin at just short of the intersection with number 77 of Garrigus Jr. He tries to get restarted, looks for some traffic in the crossover. There is nowhere to go. And look at the Rodney Sizemore car, slowed up and tried to avoid the number 87 of Danny Turner, then almost got run into by another car. Oh, this is getting treacherous out there in the intersection of the Indianapolis Speedrome. I've never seen it so dangerous to be at the crossover all season. And George Sutton almost takes out the number 5 Bill Tunney Jr. Then in turn, it's passed by the number 87 of Turner. Now closing up with those drivers. Got the number 12 of Wayne Arnold, who avoided 3 crashes in the intersection. Doug Gregg escaped. Doug Gregg almost got hit in the rear end crossways by the number 21 of Bobby Dowden. And Bill Tunney Jr. is broken at the south end of the racetrack. Bill Tunney Jr., who had been running in 2nd place in the World Figure 8 Championship, at 2 hours and 13 minutes and 15 seconds to go. Bill Tunney Jr., one of the favorites of the World Figure 8 Championship. The car has stopped running. We saw a bit of black smoke from the cars, and Bill was trying to get the car to restart. It did not. And Tunney will lose laps as that car will not run. We're not sure exactly what broke on that Tunney car. We can't tell from this angular distance. No indication anything broke on the car. We really didn't see him get into any contact with anybody else. So he can scratch Bill Tunney Jr. from any sort of immediate chance to win the World Figure 8 Championship. And he'll have to sit and watch from what would be considered the best seat in the house, but for him, the worst seat in the house because of a car that is not moving. Trouble over in turn number 1. Number 83 of Country Brown goes for a spin. That car may have stalled out, and Brown backs out of the way. Will stay under green. Here's the way the running order appears to be as we close down at the end of the 38th minute of the first hour of the World Figure 8 Championship. Number 1 of Bruce Tunney for the moment is running in the lead. It has a substantial advantage for the moment over the 2nd place driver. And that battle for 2nd place is a hot one, about a half lap back between the number 51 of Rodney Sizemore and the number 21 of Bobby Dowden. Dowden slowed down the intersection, got hit in the back end by the number 7 of Mike St. John, who wasn't slowing down for anybody. St. John, however, is several laps off the pace after the car had a backfire that almost set the entire engine on fire after a spin. And Wayne Arnold, who is your 4th place driver, had been on the lead lap, and now Wayne Arnold is in danger of going 1 lap down, the defending World Figure 8 champion. Arnold and Tunney do battle for a moment. Now Tunney moves around Arnold, puts him a lap down. Now he aims to the back end of the number 17 of side was the number 6 of Party Beware, and a yellow will come out. Yellow will come out. And Rodney Sizemore's in trouble. Rodney Sizemore's car is on fire for a moment. Something happened to Rodney Sizemore's car. That machine had a quick flame erupt to the engine compartment. He falls off the track. And another one of those drivers that have been battling for the lead, Sizemore, who had been scoring unofficially in second or third place on the lead lap, is now into the infield, into the pit area, and maybe out of it. Championship here at the Indianapolis Speedrome. The number 1 of Bruce Tunney and the number 21 of Bobby Dalton may be the only drivers left on the lead lap after all the other lead lap contenders have either been lapped or been crashed or had their cars explode into flames. Tunney and Dalton lead the rest of the field as they streak through the north end of the racetrack to turn at number 3 and 4 of the 135th lap. Midway through the 53rd minute of the first hour of this World Figure 8 Championship. Country Brown sees the leaders come on through, and he pulled right in front of the number 33 of Doug Gregg. We were waiting for the explosion of metal, but it never happened. Victor Reibold, the 11th alternate. 4 cars have crashed at the north end of the racetrack. The number 59 of Leonard Basham keeps on going, along with the number 69 of Norton. Also caught up in that one were the Garagay, father and son. Donnie Sr. in 007 and Jr. in the 77. They got caught up in the same wreck. And they got restarted at the same time, and simultaneously they're waiting for room to open up at the intersections. The leaders come flying through. Now that's family togetherness or something like that. At the intersection here, Dalton almost ran into 2 cars in the intersection, and there's Doug Gregg plowing into the back end of the number 15 car, Ellis, and shoving Ellis into the intersection. Doug Gregg damaged the front end of his car in the process. There are 2 cars stopped at the intersection. Now Doug Gregg barely gets out of the way. He's leaving Ellis behind. Ellis is defenseless of the crossover. The yellow will come out to save Ellis. Ellis, the number 15, still got almost hit by 3 cars 10 seconds after the caution came out as he finally drives away. Ellis in the number 15 was crawling through the intersection. Doug Gregg smacked him in the back end, actually shoved Ellis through the crossover, and both cars were stalled for a moment with machines coming at them at full speed from both directions. Gregg got out of there, and Ellis stuck around for a while longer before the car would restart. There's Here's Anderson at number 42 coming back onto the racetrack. Anderson has some of the bodywork torn off of that car in the left rear. Anderson had been one of the leaders of this race in the first 30 minutes or so, but obviously he's dropped some distance back.
That's what they're for.
Anderson comes back on the track. Isaac at the number 49 is also back on track after making several stops for repairs. We have not seen Jack Dawsey Jr. ever since his second collision that damaged the left front corner of his number 2. When we come back to green and we see Bob Dalton at the number 21 jump his right side tires over the marker tire going to turn number 1. Those tires were repainted just moments before the start of this World Figure 8 Championship. We haven't run 1 hour of this 3-hour race yet, and already the outside edges of those tires are pitch black from the places where they've been hit by all of these racers with those big Goodyear slicks. Tunney in front, Dalton in second, and I believe that is just about it for the lead lap cars. We've seen the number 12 of Wayne Arnold, who's running in the middle of the second or third pack of this race, go a lap down. We've seen the number 7 of Mike St. John get spun around and drop back. Norton, we understand, is 3 laps down or so with the number 69. Ware's been running out there fairly steadily, the number 6, but he had a couple of stops that dropped him back. There goes the number 59 of Pride for a spin coming out of turn number 2. That car's already been involved in a couple of incidents. Country Round was nearly stalled a couple of times, comes back onto the racetrack with the number 83. Both of the Guerra guys, father and son, are still running within about 6 car lengths of each other. And through it all, on the intersection, Bear, who finally came on after about losing 10 laps. I thought he was going to center punch at least 2 cars out there, including the Jerry Lee Ward, number 31. At the crossover, both Dalton and Bruce Tunney slow down just before they get into the number 18 of Heiser. And another car is spun around. It's Country Brown with number 83. And the leaders have to duck underneath him. Brown's trying to find out how to get out of his own way. The 83 and finally throws it in forward gear. Now there's Gordon Brown at the number 55, having removed the wing roof from that car. The number 49 of Rackley through the intersection almost takes out Brown and several other drivers. Gerges Jr. stopped at the intersection. Anderson comes across the bow of Fenwick and the number 12 of Arnold. And through all of this, the number 1 of Bruce Tunney is starting to pull away from the number 21 of Dalton. As the crossover, Wayne Arnold almost got into the S-Lick number 3, number 49 again. Now, here's what we're watching in the crossover. There are 3 cars that are stopped. There are another 6 cars that are trying to go. You've got Garrigus, the number 77, Rival to the number 72. Rival gets away. Garrigus at 77 hasn't moved for the last couple of laps. It's more or less okay for Garrigus to sit there for a while, but Garrigus has almost gotten plastered by cars coming in both directions, and Garrigus has got to be pretty nervous about it all. Heiser's off the face of the number 18 for one. Now Garrigus gets away. Thank you, Donnie Jr. And he immediately pulls to the south end of the infield. We're nearly finished with the first hour of the World Figure 8 Championship of St. John. Almost blacked with the number 1 of Tunney, forcing Tunney wide, letting the number 21 of Dalton down to the inside through 3 and 4, and Dalton takes the lead, bringing with them the several laps down number 94 of Bear, who now serves as a buffer, except that Bear wants to get a lap back for the leader. And as they slide through the intersection, almost get the Rackley number 49, it's Bear that passes both of those drivers and gets one of his laps back. Now he's doing that about another dozen times or so. Down the lead slides high. Tunney inside move in turn number 2 of lap number 153. As we're now 58.5 minutes into the first hour of the World Figure 8 Championship. Dalton fends Tunney off through 3 and 4. A car spins at the south end of the racetrack. It's Rackley's number 49. Leaders moving through in heavy traffic as Rackley gets on the racetrack directly ahead of them. Almost gets clipped by the number 3 of Fenwick. Rival barely gets out of the intersection. Oh, the number 17 of Sutton almost got plastered by the leader as they were headed northbound. And somehow through all of this, as Sutton sticks through the intersection one more time, it's Dalton and Tunney nose to tail for first place. with 50 seconds left in the first hour of the 3 hours of the World Figure 8 Championship. And after 1 of 3 hours are completed, it looks as if the number 21 of Dalton is going to stay up in front. Now drawing away from the number 1 of Bruce Tunney. In third place, a lap down or so, the number 12 of Wayne Arnold. Unofficially in fourth place, we'd have maybe the number 9 of Leonard Basham. Unofficially, then we'd have the number 69 of Norton, 87 of Turner, maybe Rackley, and then maybe Doug Gray in your leaders. But of course, everybody except the top 2 are running a lap down or so. So mark it at 1 hour's mark, 1 hour mark completed. And that's just when the number 21 of Dalton comes through the south end of the racetrack in a big mess of traffic. Dalton up in front, but not very happy about it at the moment because he's got most of the field in the racetrack directly in front of him. And what is Dalton going to do? He's got a dozen cars snarling and battling for position every inch of the way directly ahead of him, and now the caution comes out. The yellow I'm not sure the yellow came out for Victor Reibold stalling the number 72 or not. We'll have to double check that. Victor Reibold gets away. Basically, we're down to a 2-car fight to lead in the World Figure 8 Championship between the number 1 of Bruce Tunney, the number 21 of Bobby Dalton. In third place, you've got the number 12 of Wayne Arnold. I apologize. I did not see exactly what the reason was for the yellow until I happened to look down to my left. The announcer didn't have enough sense to look down to the area of the start-finish line where Fred Bear has stopped the number 94. Even worse, the announcer really didn't see exactly how Bear got there, whether he wrecked or what. But since the race officials are looking a lot at the front end of the race car, it looks as if Bear is going to be done for the night. After having repaired the car, they're kind of lobbying with Fred to kind of try to turn the wheels to see if he can drive the car away, and that probably is not going to happen. second hour World Figure 8 Championship. Dalton versus Bruce Tunney in a single one-on-one duel lead. They stay side by side for turns number 3 and 4 for the 164th lap of the race. Inside position to the left-hand turn number 4 equals the lead for Bruce Tunney by a length for Dalton. Those drivers now have to watch out for Danny Turner, the number 38 of Foster, and several other drivers. Foster moving on to the racetrack means we're getting a little deeper into the alternates list. David Reel is now on the racetrack. Reel stands as your 12th alternate. Spin by Rackley coming out of turn number 2. Spins down to the inside out of everybody else's way. Thompson is back on the racetrack at the number 12. He lost the better part of 45 minutes after that car had the rear end catch on fire because of a fueling. At the crossover, Tunney was headed straight for the number 3 of Rich Hunwick and made a last-second move to the left to save his skin and save his lead. Crossover is heavily guarded once again with heavy traffic, and once again Tunney just barely gets through. And Dalton stays right with Tunney, pressuring the leader through the intersection to make disaster-saving decisions time and time again. The sort of pressure that only a champion can withstand, but you can only get away with so many times. We need Charles Wilson to the ticket gate. Charles Wilson to the ticket gate, please. Charles Wilson to the ticket gate. Charles Wilson to the ticket gate, please. Of chicken being played by Bruce Tunney and Bob Dalton is breathtaking. These drivers knowing that one slip will cost them the lead, and that time the slip cost Tunney the lead as he went to the right, while Dalton went to the left, and Dalton took over first place because he went to one side and managed to avoid those cars that filled the intersection right in front of the leaders. Dalton back into first place. These drivers have been training the lead back and forth like jazz musicians training fours in a solo. 150 laps into this event. The number 21 of Dalton was in first place. The number 1 of Tunney was in second. Third place was Wayne Arnold with the number 12. At that point, he was on the lead lap. I think by now he's fallen off. Arnold may have somehow stayed on the lead lap, although he'd be the better part of 3/4 of the lap down by this point as the leaders start moving in traffic. Fourth place would be the number 87 of Danny Turner. Fifth place, the number 69 of R.J. Norton. Sixth place, the number 9. Oh, trouble in the crossover as the number 38 of Foster got mounted by the number 23 of Van Meter. Van Meter literally ran over Foster's car, leaving Foster's number 38 pointing in the wrong direction and stalled and bringing out the caution. Foster is able to drive away after he had an entire race car flying through the air on his hood. Spinning around coming out of the second corner. There was Van Meter, the number 23, who ran into and over Foster's car. Van Meter's car got all 4 wheels off the ground. You also notice that the number 51 of Rodney Sizemore has rejoined the race, but the damage has been done. Sizemore, who had a chance to come up to the lead, now finds himself the better part of 40 or 50 laps down, I would think. And we're watching the rest of the field trying to sort themselves out in kind of a Alphonse and Gaston act over in the area of turn number 2 as they kind of stop, waiting to find out who was going to go above that marker tire, knowing that even under the yellow, that they have to stay above the marker tire to keep being scored a lap down. 77 of Garrigus Jr., the number 83 of Country Brown, slipped into the pit area during this caution period. Well, we were about ready to make some brave-sounding statements about the current status of the World Figure 8 Championship and where the drivers were after 150 laps, working lap number 175 now as we get set for the restart. Leader 21 Dalton. Second place was the number 1 of Bruce Tunney. Third place 12 Wayne Arnold. Fourth place 87 Turner, a lap down. Fifth place 69 Norton, 2 laps down. Then you had the number 9 of Basham, the number 33 of Gregg, the number 6 of Ware, 17 Sutton, the number 23 of Van Meter, the number 3 of Fenwick, and the number 50 of Ford. Ford would be the highest ranked alternate so far out there, and he's moving up toward the top 10. 1 contenders for the victory. 2 others were on the crossover. Tunney ended more wide because the number 00 car. That will cost him another chance to run to the lead with the number 21 of Dalton. And now Tunney finds on the crossover. There goes the 00 car through, forcing the number 51 of Sizemore into a wild spin. And also running into trouble was Ware with the number 6, who almost put his car to the wall over at the northeast corner of the racetrack. As Ford almost clips the number 69 of Norton, as Norton was trying to get laps back. Ware throws his car into reverse just to get the machine off the wall. Restarts, but he's lost about a lap on that last exchange of madness. Tunney almost bounces off the 00 of Garrigus as he goes off in pursuit of Dalton in the number 21. You might wonder what are the rules of engagement for the crossover of the Indianapolis Speedrome. The answer is there are no rules. You go through the crossover wherever you can get away with it. If you crash, too bad. If you don't crash, you get away with it. If you have most of a race car to run when you come through the intersection, that is a success. At the intersection, Bruce Tunney has to watch out for the number 51 of Dalton, and there's Richie in the number 95 on the flat tire on the left front. He got into it with somebody over there at the west side of the racetrack, and Real is trying to find his way through the intersection so he can go back to the pits and make a tire change, I would guess, except it's turning out to be rough to get there because there's not enough room. Richie, the number 95, now gets to the intersection. That will clear him up to finally somehow get into the get to the pit area, but he'll have to follow the number 33 of Doug Gregg out. And now the number 18 of Heiser has most of the body return off the right side. He got hit by the number 00 of Buck there just as he was trying to come off the track. There goes Richie into the pit area to make a stop. Slowing down on the track was the number 00 of Buck, who ran into the number 33 of Gregg after Gregg's car decided to make a pit stop. And another car is going to be coming back onto the racetrack shortly. That'll be the number 77 of Garrigus Jr. And another machine will be coming back onto the racetrack shortly. Be moving onto the racetrack for the first time. That'll be Skinner in the number 37. Skinner is the 13th alternate for about whoa, we almost saw the Garrigus car do something weird down in turn number 1. Again, the Skinner car is about midway through the alternates list. All of 100 feet onto the racetrack before he encounters the number 38 of Foster. Those drivers trying to get out of each other's way, with race leaders coming at them at full speed in both directions. Skinner lined up trying to go southbound, waiting for an opening. Now maybe the car is stalled. That's no way to start your World Figure 8 Championship, although we've seen a lot of guys do that almost as a tradition here at the Speedrome. They're all to this number 21 of Dalton still has the lead. Moving up on Ford and Turner, fanning out 3 wide through the intersection. And the number 49 of Eslick may have clipped Tunney's number 1. Eslick's number 49 may have clipped Tunney's northbound's number 1 car. We're looking for damage to the left side of Tunney's car. Apparently got away with it. Now there's rivals going into the wall. The number 72 after an encounter with the number 21 of Dalton, and the caution now comes out to get the Foster and Skinner cars out of the way. And the number 21 of Dalton slows up because he thought he was going to have the lead. Pit stop for Bruce Tunney. Pit stop for Tunney in the number 1. Perhaps Tunney did get clipped by Eslick. Maybe he just thought it was time to make a stop. So, Bruce Tunney in the number 1 goes to a stop. And this may be one of the first times that we have seen one of the leaders in this World Figure 8 Championship make a stop that's not an emergency stop because something broke on the car. Dalton stays on the racetrack, and it's kind of a bit of confusion there because the pace car is trying to find the leader, and there's Dalton over in turn number 2, and the pace vehicle will now have to cut through the infield to pick up Dalton. Reinbold backs his 72 off the track. The 00 on the oval backstretch of Buck is going to be pushed in, or maybe be towed in, because here comes the Olmsted towing wrecker. Bruce Tunney now comes back onto the racetrack. That must have been an amazingly fast stop. Bruce again is going to have to make an entire south loop of the racetrack, and that's an amazingly quick stop by Bruce Tunney, who will fall one lap down in the process, but that's not any sort of disadvantage considered some of the other stops we have seen where guys lose 4 or 5 laps during the yellow. There comes the number 17 of George Sutton moving onto the racetrack. Sutton took about twice as long for his pit stop under caution as Bruce did.
Well, they won last year.
We're nearly midway through this event. 15.5 minutes into the second hour of the World Figure 8 Championship. We're down to 1, maybe 2 cars running on the lead lap. The number 21 of Dalton and the number 12 of Arnold. Tunney is probably in 3rd place, a lap down. But what we're going to watch is to find out what Tunney's strategy is going to be during this sequence off of the pit stop. Will Tunney simply try to hold ground and play a defensive battle, hoping that Dalton will be forced into an error, or will he try to make up that 1 lap disadvantage and be ready to pounce just in case? The only way to find out is wait for the green flag to come out on the restart here midway through the 16th minute of this World Figure 8 Championship second hour. John Purcell moves on to the racetrack at the number 86. He was the 15th alternate of this contest. There's Jeff Shackelford on the racetrack, the first stock body car in the race. He is the 16th alternate. You'd better get, oh, he's going to put himself a lap down already. And I can understand why. He just wanted to get out of the way. And there's Kevin Ford coming back onto the racetrack after a stop. Bruce Tunney's already passed several cars in the process. Shackelford still is circulating around the south end of the racetrack. 2 cars involved in a crash at the north end. The number 7 of Mike St. John and the number 33 of Doug Gregg. These guys have got issues from a long time ago. And there's Gregg coming through the intersection with a torn-up rear end on his race car. And St. John, who's already had himself a couple of encounters with various other cars, is stopped at the southwest corner of the track right underneath the southwest vista, where all those guys in the reserve seat have a all-too-good look at the former World Figure 8 Champion's torn-up car. St. John now pulls away from the wall. Apparently the problem of that car being stalled was not a long situation. And let's see if St. John can even keep it on the track. Doug Gregg, in the meantime, has not pulled off the track, even though he's got a lot of bodywork turn off of the right rear. That bodywork is pretty much flapping free. It'll be interesting to find out what the official's decision is, as St. John makes a pit stop, may have left some fluid behind, and R.J. Norton has made multiple stops trying to get that car ready to go, is flowing into the pit area as well. And the official wreckers of the World Figure 8 Championship, always overworked during this race. The Olmsted Towing Wreckers, with assist from the A&A Towing Wreckers, they have been on the track longer than some of the race cars. That may be smaller than usual. Because we ran for the first half hour or so fairly clean. Then we had the first yellow, and then that kind of sure it's kind of a chain reaction deal. Ready for yet another restart, and here's going to be an interesting circumstance. You've got Dalton at the number 21 restarting up in front with the many laps down, number 51 of Rodney Sizemore, and the number 12 of Wayne Arnold is as close to offering a challenge to the leader as anybody else. Dalton wins the restart immediately, but Sizemore, banging over the marker tire in turn number 2, tries to stay with Dalton and does not do so. We see another car coming back. Lost a lot of ground. Bruce Tunney in the number 1. A lap or so down, he tries to nudge the number 59 of Brine out of the way. And now it's within about a quarter lap of catching back up to the number 21 of Bobby Dalton and getting back on the lead lap. 3 cars crash, and one that goes up on the red is Eslick's number 49. That ran over to the number 18 of Jeff Heiser and rolled over. Eslick's number 49 comes for a blip and will come down to caution. Eslick's car goes on its roof and got into it with another car. It was Garrigus Jr. And you can see the race officials are rushing as hard as possible to get over to Eslick to find out if he's okay. Nervous moment as the race officials laying on the racetrack, trying to find out if they can get to Eslick's number 49, which is upside down after taking a terrifying roll over in turn number 1 on a restart. And Eslick is getting out of the car. He's okay. And Dalton has made a pit stop during this caution. Wayne Arnold also has gone in to make a pit stop, and which other of those guys may come out first could decide who's going to be the leader on this restart. In a wild affair over in turn number 1. Eslick's gotten out of this race car in one piece, but now the race officials are going to have a bit of a chore to try to get that car back up on its roof. So here comes the number 21 of Dalton back onto the racetrack after a fast stop to get back onto the track. Bruce Tunney will go back into the lead because he stayed on the track. We'll have to double check and find out where Dalton is relative to Tunney as far as what lap he may be on. And we've now working the 201st lap of this event, 22 minutes into the second hour of the World Figure 8 Championship. Notice the cars are deliberately being sent inside of the area of turn number 1 as Eslick's car is back on its wheels. And Eslick is more concerned about the state of his car than his own personal safety. As we see Steve Brine and number 59 moving onto the track, our scores are indicating to us that we now have 3 cars back on the lead lap. The leader will be the number 1 of Bruce Tunney, second place the number 21 of Bobby Dalton, third place the number 21 of number 12 of Wayne Arnold. Those drivers are now unofficially all shown on the lead lap, except where's Dalton? Want to make double check and find out where Dalton is. And Dalton and Arnold are going to be the better part of a quarter lap on the restart as Eslick's number 49 car will go back flatter than it had been.
121, 12 minus 1. 1 and 21 are on the same lap. 20, and 12 is minus 1.
Our scores now give us an indication that it appears that Wayne Arnold of the number 12 could be a lap down. We'll have to double check this and make certain. But again, the exchange of pit stops between the number 1 of Bruce Tunney and the number 21 of Bobby Dalton has led those drivers still running on the lead lap. So Bruce Tunney is up in front, 21 Dalton is in second place. Third place, most likely a lap down, is the number 12 of Wayne Arnold. Zeslick's number 49, with a lot of body damage, especially to the roof where the car rolled over. The roll cage did its job, and the driver got out unhurt. We're glad at that. We certainly don't need any other messes here at the Indianapolis Speedrome. It's not the first time we've got a race car upside down in this World Figure 8 Championship, and the way things are going, it probably won't be the last time either. Rodney Sizemore now gets to go back on the lead lap. That was a race official's decision, since Rodney Sizemore had been picked up as the leader for a moment, and he will be waved around the pace vehicle along with the number 3 of Rich Fenwick. Nearly halfway through this race, looking at about 420, 440 laps to be completed in this wild contest here at the Indianapolis Speedrome. I don't think there's ever been a ordinary or boring World Figure 8 Championship, but it just seems in recent years that the intensity just gets up to a fever pitch at the start and never backs down. No, I'm not. I'll let people find out when they go home. Pace vehicle turns out the lights. That's the signal. We're going to go to the restart this next time by. Bruce Tunney will be up in front. In the number 1, Danny Turner at 87. Ford to the number 50 will try to get laps back. And then you've got Dalton to the number 21, already trying to fan out 3 wide on the restart to make the move. There's Fenwick moving through in 3 abreast fashion on what you want to call a Texas restart. And the number 17 of George Sutton meandered right in the path of the number 1 of Bruce Tunney on the restart and nearly took out the leader. At the back of the pack, they're fanning through 3 wide with Ware and several other cars. 2 cars go for a spin make, then 3 cars, Thompson, Brown, and Vassell. And also getting caught up in that was the hard luck number 77 of Garrigus, who leaves some sparks for that car, bottoms out. Vassell got nailed in the right rear, and that tore up the right bodywork of that car. And Vassell, coming to the intersection, tries to keep from taking out several other cars. Maybe it's the other way around. The Shockford actually completes a lap. Bruce Tunney comes across the stripe in the lead, trying to chase him down. The number 21 of Dalton by my stopwatch. It's 3.8 seconds between first and second places. Tunney finds a tiny gap between the cars of Fenwick and Doug Gregg. Gregg did have to make a pit stop to have that right side bodywork taken off of his car. And Gregg comes through the intersection, nice and slow between Ford and Frost. There was no more than, say, about 10 feet between those drivers at the intersection, which by Speedrome standards is a wide margin. And now Bruce Tunney runs into the back end of Vassell. Bruce Tunney was going into turn number 3. Vassell in the 86 was trying to come off the track, and Tunney rear-ended him hard. And we're coming down to yellow because there's debris on the track, and we're not talking small stuff. When Tunney ran into the back end of Vassell's car, Vassell had already had the right rear weakened by the earlier collision, and as a result, that tore off a large piece of steel from Vassell's car. The officials are standing there trying to pick it up, except that Jerry Lee Ward just ran right over it.
Sidebar of the story is they black Vassell for that piece and Bruce knocked it off.
And so Vassell was actually coming off the track after being black flagged because there was a piece of metal coming off the car. Guess what piece of metal ended up on the racetrack? And guess who ran into him to knock it off? It was the race leader, Bruce Tunney. But from this angle and distance, it looks as if Bruce's car did not suffer any damage. At this point, it doesn't look like he even damaged the front bumper somehow. And so we'll come back to the restart here really fast. Again, we're very, very close to the halfway mark of this event. Coming out of turn number 4 to resume the race and begin lap number 212. It'll be a straight fight for first place between the number 1 of Tunney and the number 21 of Dowden. These drivers both made pit stops under yellow. Each driver relatively lost a lap during those cautions, and as a result, they're back up fighting where they had been about a half hour ago for first and second place. In the middle of that melee of drivers running for third place, you've got the number 12 of Wayne Arnold. And as those cars go through turn number 1 and 2, did I see a streak of fluid coming from one of the machines? We'll find out here shortly. No, apparently not. I thought that I might have seen one car showing some trouble, but we'll have to keep our eyes on as they go into turn number 1 of lap number 215. At the crossover, Bruce Tunney and Alton almost cram into another car, and we see Kevin Ford got hit in the number 50. That slowed him down for a while, but now he'll get back underway. I almost have the impression that one of those lead cars, either the number 1 of Tunney or the number 21 of Dalton, is starting to show a leakage of some sort going through a corner, but I really can't from this angular distance tell which car that was. We'll double check them as they go through turn number 1. It might be Dalton. It might be something leaking from Dalton's number 21 going through a turn, but so far it's not hurting it. Now, it almost hurt Dalton, but it's almost getting hit by Turner and Sutton at the intersection. Somehow they keep on going, however. As they go into as we move past the halfway mark of this event. Yep, it's definitely some sort of leak out of the right rear, or the left rear of Dalton's number 21. It's not so far causing any sort of major problem, but that's the sort of thing you have to watch. If it's a fuel leak, then it's potential danger, but it's even worse in an endurance race if it's a water leak, because then that means that the car starts to run out of water and you have to make an additional stop. And there's no doubt, after watching that 21 car for the last couple of circuits, that there is some sort of fluid leak from Dalton's car that is exasperated when the car goes through the right-hand turn number 1 and 2 of this course, which of course forces it out the left side of this critical course. All that happening as we now watch the leaders working the 220th lap of this World Figure 8 Championship, and we start the 31st minute of the event. At 200 laps, here's your way the scorers are showing things. The number 1 of Tunney was in first place, second place, the number 21 of Dalton. A lap down in third place, the number 12 of Wayne Arnold. Fourth place, 6 laps down, 87 Turners. We see a car going in for a stop. That's the number 112 of Thompson. Fifth place, the number 9 of Basham. Sixth place, the number 3 of Fenwick. Oh, in the intersection, the number 1 of Tunney had hit the brakes to keep from getting splashed by 4 cars. That will let Dalton get closer with the number 21. Also running on the leaders in the 200-lap mark, the number 33 of Doug Briggs, 14 laps down. The number 23 of Van Meter was 16 laps down, as was the number 17 of Sutton. And then the number 50 of Ford was running 17 laps down. Another alternate moves on to the racetrack. That's the number 78 of Kenny Boggs, the 17th alternate. The number 1 of Tunney comes out of turn number 4, bringing with it the number 21 of Dalton, and Dalton gets picked off by the number 02 of Kennedy and the number 47 of Shackelford. There's the Van Meter car trying to make an extra lap to the south, and he got trapped as the 42 of Anderson got hit in the back by the number 3 of Fenwick, and now has to watch for the number 59 of Steve Prine. And that's all in a typical lap here of the World Figure 8 Championship. Dalton now is falling off the pace that Tunney has been set. And Tunney is now drawing away. He has now injected 2 lapped cars between the leading Tunney and the number 21 of Dalton. Perhaps that was a significant fluid leak we saw. Reel is back on the track. Has been back for some time after his flat tire situation. Shackelford continues to circulate in various things. Boggs, I think, made 1 lap and stopped on the back stretch. And the leaders are... Oh, now in car number 2, it's the contact between the number 51 of Rodney Sizemore and the number 71 of Frost. Frost is facing the wrong direction and is waving as if that car is stalled. Frost may be lobbying for a yellow to get him pushed out of the way. For the moment, we are staying under green. The rules say that under minor hazards, we'll stay under green. The race officials decide that's a little more than a minor hazard, and as a result will come down to caution to push cross number 71 out of the way. Well, again, the closed circuit will have to show definitely that we are not cheating and we are not watching that Jeff Gordon is 114 laps down in the Winston Cup race.
21 of Calvin has been sneaking up the last couple of yellows. We're going to put him back a couple of cars. Big car tires. We're going to reset Mr. Bobby Dalvin back to close to where he was. So that's basically what happened with the Wayne Arnold situation where he's going to well. But yeah, the 21 needs to be back a couple of cars.
Understood. You're going to see something a little unusual happen on the racetrack, and we need to explain it. Bobby Douthat's going to be held up and moved back several rows. The decision of the scorers is that Douthat's been getting an unfair advantage on the restarts by pulling up alongside Bruce Tunney. Douthat is not being substantially penalized. He's simply being moved back about 5 or 6 rows to where the officials think that he should be running. Douthat will not be penalized. He'll just be penalized several positions on the restart.
Drivers meeting, they went over that. They'll tolerate, but there comes a time it's not going to tolerate. So that's one of the issues.
And Bobby Douthat, according to our tech inspector, is not being tolerated. Ladies and gentlemen, the Larry Harris rule of the Indianapolis Speedrome.
Oh, I think we got all our Larry Harrison on the track.
Rusty's taken over led about 27 laps. Yep. Rusty, Rudd, Dale Jr., Spencer, Harvick, Stewart, Wardroom, Terry Labonte, Bobby Labonte, Joe. On this restart, notice that the number 7 Mike St. John is actually in the lead of this very class as we go to the third corner. And Shackelford will take the number 87 of Turner and number 17 of Sutton High. The number 21 of Douthat will try to split the gap between them. Shackelford will oblige by getting out of the way. But still, Douthat almost ran into the back end of Downey's number 23. Downey's presence shows that we now have had 18 alternates coming onto the track here in the first 1 hour and 36 minutes. Championship. And here comes old Hoosier. 19th alternate, scientifically trained to keep everybody honest, is now moving on the racetrack. West Virginia's best joins the fray. Bruce Tunney in tandem with the number 7 Mike St. John was in the first turn of his 237th lap. And there's the number 18 of Jeff Heiser sliding across the bow of the number 17 of George Sutton and the number 21 of Bobby Douthat. And Sutton cuts Douthat out coming out of turn number 2. Those drivers are not racing for position. And how did they get away with that one? There are 8 cars in the same place at the intersection. They got 10 cars, and somehow everybody managed to get out of everybody else's way. Tunney and Mike St. John in tandem going into the first turn of the 239th lap of the leaders. Douthat is 5 seconds back in second, and Wayne Arnold's about a lap back in third. And there's the number 18, 88 of Real, who kind of got slapped by the number 6 of Ware and drops some distance back as the number 9 of Mash, who's still out there bravely driving the intersection, the number 1 of Tunney had to hit the brakes to keep him being nailed by the number 6 of Artie Beware. And everybody gets back underway as if nothing happened. You can't let those things dwell on you in the intersection. You have to learn and keep on pushing as hard as possible. And now notice that the number 1 of Tunney now puts Wayne Arnold a second lap down at the intersection as Frost almost collides with the number 3 of Fenwick. The gap between first and second place diminishes to all of 4.5 seconds. Tunney made a masterful move there in turn number 3. He was running almost 4 abreast with a bunch of guys. He simply pushed it hard enough to get into the turn ahead of them and then kind of eased back and pulled away. Mike St. John is having to scramble to stay with Tunney. St. John hoping against hope that something happens to Tunney and maybe a dozen or so other guys, so he has a chance to win this race. But St. John is out there making laps, hoping to make more money. The further up you finish, the more cash you make. And there goes Heiser being helped into the infield by one of his best friends. I think that was Kevin Ford that might have helped him. I hope somebody doesn't have to score Heiser based on the body on the right side of that car. At the intersection, Anderson almost takes out number 51 of Sizemore and the number 6 of Ware and the number 9 of Passion. That kind of got our attention, sorry. And Tunney somehow is maintaining his pace, while Ford Dalton, the number 21, has just broken free of a group of traffic. That includes the Van Meter and Anderson cars. And through all of this, over the last few laps, Tunney has really taken this race into a stranglehold. The gap between first and second place is now 6.7 seconds. As the crossaround and Dalton get away with it, he almost got splattered by the number 3 of Rich Fenwick and somehow kept on going. And there's Dalton in the crossover. He almost got nailed that time by the number 9 of Passion. Well, Tunney seems to go through smoothly on these laps. Dalton is taking a slide into his hands at every turn. Collision coming out of the corner between the number 71 of Frost and Basham. Those drivers are slow getting restarted. They almost like Doug Bray, who was almost sitting there as an interactive spectator wondering what was going to happen next. Sideswiping each other. The 59 of Bryan and the number 42 of Anderson, they get on each other's way and somehow keep on going. At 225 laps, and the leader's working the 250th right now. The leader is the number 1 of Tunney. Second place, 21 of Dalton. Third place, the 12 of Wayne Arnold. At that point was 1 lap down. He's 2 laps down now. Fourth place, 87 Turner, 4 laps down. Fifth place, 9 Basham, 7 laps down. Sixth place, the number 3 at Fenwick, 14 laps down. At the intersection, the number 17 of Sutton is almost pushed by the number 42 of Anderson into the number 33 of Gregg. Now, where are we? That aforementioned Gregg is 15 laps down. The 23 of Van Meter is 17 laps down. The 17 of Sutton is 17 laps down. The number 50 of Ford is 19 laps down. And the number 6 of Ware is 21 laps down. Why are these guys keep on going and going and going, even though they know they don't have a chance to win the race? First off, they don't know they don't have a chance to win the race. We were looking at Mike St. John's number 7. We were watching the brake rotors on the rear of that car glowing cherry red. Take a close look at Mike St. John's number 7. He's working the brakes so hard in that car, you can see the rotors are glowing in the night. That's the only car out there that we have seen that happen to, and that's one of the rare times you'll see that happen in any case the Indianapolis Speedrome. Now, racing rotors are made to accept that sort of heat. That gives you the intention of how hard St. John is driving that car in an attempt to keep up with Bruce Tunney's number 1. But Tunney is pulled away from St. John by several cars. You don't see the brake rotors blowing on Tunney's car. And the number 7 of Mike St. John is being black flagged for that situation. Again, Mike St. John has been running that car so hard that the brake rotors on that rear of that car are glowing. And the race officials have decided the 49 car is back on the track. I don't believe it. The 49 car Eslick that flipped about a half hour ago. That car has been fixed and it's back in the race. I don't believe it. They've even put a brand new roof on that car. I think. So again, here's the situation. Mike St. John's number 7 has been black flagged because the rear rotors are glowing on that car. The race officials have decided that's a safety issue and they're going to get St. John off the track. And I still can't believe that Eslick fixed the number 49 and got it back into the race. Apparently, it wasn't hurt as bad as it looked at first. Not particularly pretty, but these guys who traveled 2,200 miles, and Mike St. John's car goes up in flames. Mike St. John's rear brakes are on fire. Mike St. John's rear brakes are on fire. He takes the flaming car back into the pit area looking for somebody with a fire extinguisher to put out the flames. Now, we've been watching Mike St. John's rear brake rotors glow cherry red for the last couple of minutes, and that's an amazing thing. But one of the most amazing things we've seen at the Indianapolis Speedrome, remember we saw the Don Eslick number 49 flip upside down. Look right at the crossover. Eslick and his crew have fixed the car. They are back in the race. I don't believe it. That car was upside down just a few minutes ago. They're going to make another pit stop to fix it. But that's incredible that they'd get Eslick's car back on the track. Well, that's kind of entertaining. And ladies and gentlemen, our appreciation for Rob Albright when he gave the job.
I told him, Al. I got from now on reading got a whole desk of that. It's fun.
All right, we're getting set for a restart very shortly. Bruce Tunney still has the lead. The number 21 of Nowlan's still running in second place. Wayne Arnold, I believe, in the number 12 is 2 laps down. And there's Wayne Arnold getting back onto the track after making a pit stop, so Wayne Arnold is probably going to be in the vicinity of 3 or 4 laps down as we come back to green. Now the number 21 of Dalton is in that lead pack of cars, although he's separated by the first place number 1 of Bruce Tunney by about 6 slower machines. Wayne Arnold driving as hard as he has all night to try to be able to catch back up, and there's the number 88 of Reno stopping on the backstretch for a moment, catching his breath, ready to get back into the race eventually. We're coming to the end of the 48th minute of the second hour of the World Figure 8 Championship. And the field fans out 4 abreast of the intersection, and the inside of some of that, in the middle of some of that 4 abreast racing was the number 21 of Dalton. We got pinched between the number 6 of Ware and the number 72 of Bridal. Managed to survive that, and now almost runs to the back end of the number 87 of Danny Turner. Tunney does some daring work as well. He is trying to put Wayne Arnold in the number 12 another lap down coming out of the second turn of the 264th lap of this race. Shackelford and Fair escaped through the intersection just ahead of Danny Turner, who's just barely ahead of the number 21 of Bobby Dowden. Mike Nelson is out there with the number 91. Nelson is the 20th alternate. Showing a streak of fluid. It's the number 59 of Pride. Pride at number 59 is showing some streaks of fluid from that car as he circles around turn number 1 and 2. Pride realizes his car is hurt. Now tries to drive off the west side of the racetrack, the backstretch area. water because it's evaporating fairly quickly. And Bruce Teddy runs over that same area where Ryan had been. Cut through the intersection just barely ahead of Ware. 3 cars are lined up, all but stopped at the intersection. Another car is facing the wrong way. And there's Bruce Teddy coming across the front of it all, getting away with it as he has so many times. Now we're watching the number 49 of Brackley that's trying to get going again after that car has been bashed up. It's one of the first cars to get torn up. Actually, by the standards of previous World Figure 8 Championships, as Brian finally gets off the track with that leaking car, by the standards of previous World Figure 8 Championships, we don't have that many really desperately torn up cars quite yet. But the night is still young. 15 minutes into the... Watch out, Brackley hit the throttle and almost spun into the path of... Oh, now Brackley almost takes out the Nelson cars. Brackley almost wrecked 3 cars in one fell swoop. He almost took out the machines as he tried to get that torn up number 49 car back underway. Now on the racetrack, son of an Indianapolis Speedrome Hall of Famer, the number 19. Rigdon is the 21st alternate. As we're starting to run down the tail end of the alternates list for this World Figure 8 Championship. Some of these drivers have waited the better part of 2 hours. Others will wait just over 2 hours for a chance to race. St. John made the pit stop after the brakes on that car caught on fire when the rear rotors started to glow red, hot red on the racetrack. St. John has not returned from that stop. Fred Baird Jr., another one of the early leaders of this event, who ran into trouble a couple of times. There's a spin by the number 18 of Heiser. He is sideways across to the rest of the field, and Heiser just barely gets out of the way. 250 lap rundown. This is the way it was running at 250 laps. We're now working the 278th lap of the leader. It was the number 1 of Bruce Tunney, the number 21 of Bobby Douthit, the number 12 of Wayne Arnold, a couple of laps down. 87 of Danny Turner was in 4th place, about 5 laps down. 5th place, the number 9 of Leonard Basham, 7 laps down. 6th place, the number 3, Rich Fenwick, 15 laps down. 7th place, the number 33 of Doug Gregg, 18 laps down. Then the number 23 of Eddie Van Meter, 19 laps down. Then the number 6 of Artie Beware, about 25 laps down. A spin by the number 18, number 19 of Ronnie Rigdon coming out of the second corner that walked for a moment the number 23 of Downey. Both drivers get restarted. Now we're watching Hoosier, the number 89, stop at the intersection. He will crawl on away. And approaching Hoosier is a group of 4 drivers that is trailed by the number 1, Bruce Tunney. Bruce decides to go to the inside and try to move around the 00 of Garrigus, bumps over the marker tire in the process and almost runs into the path of the number 12 of Wayne Arnold. Watching these 2 drivers, Arnold and Tunney, as they come to the intersection. That time they're out of sequence. They don't hit each other with the crossover. Eslick's back on the track. Rigdon spins for a second time. Crossway in the middle of the track. He backs just barely out of the way of the number 1 of Tunney. And there's Eslick back on the track of the number 49 after making another pit stop to repair that car after its violent rollover in the south end of the racetrack. Eslick is actually running with the leader, Tunney, and that's a surprise. But now Tunney pulls away from Eslick, especially using power coming out of turns number 2 and 4. Tunney is getting close to the point race, a half lap ahead of the number 21 of Dowden. Tunney finds a gap between the Ritchie and Garrigus senior cars and comes to the intersection, finishes 283rd lap, 55 minutes or so through the second hour of the World Figure 8 Championship. Eslick slides to the intersection just ahead of Hoosier and Arnold. And right ahead of the Anderson, number 42, the number 9 of McMurtry, and the number 91 of Nelson. And those drivers get to the intersection just ahead of Garrigus Sr. and Fenwick. And behind those drivers racing each other pretty hard, not for position, but still racing each other pretty hard, are the number 33 of Doug Gregg and the number 6 of Ware. Ware holds up, however, for the number 51 of Rodney Seisman. Continues to rage, and as we move through the 57th minute of the second hour of the World Figure 8 Championship, let's take a look at our starters and find out how they fared. Fred Baer, fast qualifier, wrecked several times out of the race. Jack Dawsey Jr., the number 2, led, wrecked twice out of the race. Rodney Sizemore, the number 51, car troubles twice. At one spin, is back in the race, although he's running well out of the top 10. Bruce Tunney, the number 1, fourth starter, currently the leader and starting to pull away. R.J. Norton and the number 69 ran fairly strongly, ran into problems in the second hour of the race, has dropped out and has not returned. 71, Steve Frost, steady but not a contender, has been on and off the track a couple of times. Bobby Dalton in the number... Oh, the intersection! Wayne almost got nailed by the number 49 of Eslick, and that would have taken out Bruce Tunney as well. It was that close, and Bruce Tunney got sideswiped by Ritchie coming out of turn number 2. At the 275 lap mark, leader is still the number 1 of Bruce Tunney. Second place, the number 21 of Dalton on the lead lap. The third place now is the number 87 of Danny Turner, 6 laps down. Fourth place, the number 9 of Leonard Basham, who's 7 laps down. Fifth place, the number 12 of Wayne Arnold, has fallen 8 laps off the pace. And then you've got the number 3, Umbridge Fenwick, who was 15 laps down and officially shown in 6th spot. Continuing our run down to the starters, and they're on the intersection. One group of cars stopped. Another group of cars kept on going. Almost had ourselves 7 tons of metal welded together. Ninth starter, Tony Anderson, in the number 42, has been on and off the track a couple of times. Still running, maybe in the top 10. George Sutton, at the number 17, has made several pit stops, not on the track right now, and not as strong as we thought he was going to be. Probably has encountered mechanical problems. Doug Gregg, the number 33, steady if nothing else, but not as fast as the leaders. Danny Turner, the number 87 of the second pack of cars, the best so far. As watch out, trouble as the Anderson car got hit and spun out with the number 9 of McMurtry over in turn number 1. Those cars are stuck there for a moment, trying to get out of each other's way as a big pack of cars comes in behind them. No place for McMurtry to go. He's stuck. He can't go forward, can't go backwards. Now they get disengaged and roll back into first space. Roll back into first gear, second gear, and there's Anderson cutting through a relatively clear intersection for a moment. McMurtry is taking his time getting back up to speed. Maybe his car's been damaged. Now he's running away. At the intersection, the number 9 of Basham slowed down to keep him running into the rival number 72. That almost backed him into several cars, including the leader. Now a collision over in turn number 3, involving the car of Downey, number 23, and the number 31 of Ward. Ward has had the rear end of that car damaged. He's got a flat tire or something like that. Ward will come off the track with a flat right rear tire. Downey, the number 23, appears to have stolen that car. He gradually rolls away, gets off the track as a big pack of a dozen drivers goes above him. And look at this, Ronnie Rigdon Lincoln's going to push that car out of the way, but not until the yellow flag comes out. And taking another look at our guys that started the race. Rich Fenwick, 13 starter, the number 3, still going steady, not quite at the leader's pace. The number 14 to Mike St. John to the number 7 exploded into flames. Leonard Bash to the number 9, still running. He's had some close encounters, but is still out there. Artie Beware, same as Basham, only not quite as good. The number 97 of Danny Turner is now pulling off the track for a tire change. He has a flat left front tire, right front tire. Gordon Brown to the number 55, a couple of wrecks off the track. Wayne Arnold steady in the top 5 of the number 12, not quite up to the leader's pace. Jeff Heiser, the number 18, has bounced off a lot of things, has shed some bodywork. A typical World Figure 8 championship for Jeff Heiser. Dwayne Thompson of the number 112, exploded into flames. Kenny Stewart of the number 97, ran for about the first half hour, ran into trouble, has not returned. Casey White of the number 41, first driver out. Curtis McMurtry of the number 9 just got involved in a wreck, but is staying out there in the number 9. Keith Ritchie of the number 95, relatively steady for a guy in his first long-distance race. Eddie Van Meter of the white number 23, half decent. Donnie Garrigus Jr. of the number 77, too much adventure for his own good. Don Eslick of the number 49, flipped, daring and courageous to get back into a car that should have been destroyed. Kenny Rackley of the number 49, first car to get torn up, out on the track at this point. Here's the number 60 of Lonnie Goebel. Goebel is the 24th alternate. He waited 2 hours to get on the track. And Lonnie Goebel has been given the NASCAR rules. If you hit one leader, you got to hit them both. From what I understand that is not a joke. that all the drivers aren't told that at the drivers meeting when there's 2 cars. Uh-oh, here's Manny Aguilar too. We don't have any alternates left. 1. With the appearance of the next to last alternate, Manny Aguilar in the number 72, will come back to green flag as we work now with 58 minutes left to go in the World Figure 8 Championship, with the number 1 of Bruce Denny still up in front, number 21 of Bobby Dowlett still in second place. In third place, Danny Turner in 87, 6 laps down. Fourth place, the number 9 of Leonard Basham, 7 laps down. Fifth place, the number 12 of Wayne Arnold, 8 laps down. Sixth place for the number 3 of Rich Fenwick, 15 laps down. Seventh place, the number 33 of Doug Gregg, 20 laps down. 8th place, the number 23, Benny Van Meter, 25 laps down. 9th place, the number 6 of Arnie Beaver, 27 laps down. And in 10th place, the number 51 Ron Clockmore, 30 laps down. Gordon Brown's back on the racetrack in the number 55. After spending a lot of time for repairs, that car has gotten nailed a few times. Bruce Tunney now has himself almost a half lap advantage over the number 21 of Dalton. Tunney quickly pulled away from the restart in front. But that means trouble, of course, for Tunney because he's got heavy traffic to move through the intersection. Slow on the track, the number 31 of Warren, who traps the number 60 of Goebel, who's trying to move around him. Shackelford gets back underway. Tunney has to go in one direction to get around Danny Turner and then cuts back to the other side like a pullback going through the fence. Minutes to go in the World Figure 8 Championship. Tunney's main competitor now is the crossover. He needs to find a clear way through that crossover every time for the next 55 minutes and 45 seconds in order to be able to claim the World Figure 8 Championship. Bobby Dowlett's main competitor now is traffic. It's the number 47 of Shackelford meandered through the intersection and almost got splattered by the number 23 of Van Meter. Again is about a half lap behind. Tunney, last driver on the lead lap. At the intersection, down there, to watch out for Thompson and for Lonnie Gold. Most of the cars are at the north end of the racetrack. Dalton is at the south end of the racetrack heading north, which means there's heavy traffic in the intersection every time the Dalton 21 goes through there. And that traffic is usually lined up 3 abreast. That time Dalton had to deal with only one car, Doug Gregg. But Doug Gregg's being caught by the number 1 of Bruce Tunney. 54.5 minutes to go in the World Figure 8 Championship. Still lots of time, still many dramas still to be told. He moves past the number 12 of Wayne Arnold. That puts Arnold about 11 laps down to the leaders. As Bruce Tunney goes to the inside of Eslick, bouncing over a marker tire, he starts to take those chances. Bruce can only push it so hard, but if he pushes it too hard, he finds himself in for a pit stop that will take him out of a chance to win the event. But Bruce is one of those drivers like the legendary Rich Vogler who says that if you back down, you lose your focus. You have to push hard at all times and make a defensive move only when absolutely necessary for sheer survival. And that happens there as Tunney cuts to the inside of Jerry Lee Ward, ran over a marker tire and almost lifted all 4 tires off the ground. 52 minutes and 52 seconds left to go in the World Figure 8 Championship. Behind the leading Tunney and Dalton. Third place is at the intersection, number 3 at Fenwick comes to a tiny gap. Third place is again the number 12 of Arnold, who's about 11 laps back. Fourth place is the number 9 of Basham, about 12 laps back. And then you've got the number 3 of Fenwick and the number 87 of Turner. So Turner's lost some ground. There's the number 19 of Rignan and the spin coming out of turn number 4. Rignan tries to get that car restarted and finally rolls away. Oza Hoosier just came back onto the racetrack after one of his several pit stops. Spinning out of the 4th corner, Doug Gregg, who got hit by the number 4 of Ware and the number 21 of Dalton. Dalton in that spin, collected by the number 33 of Gregg. Dalton will get restarted. He'll get hit by Ware, who backed up, but that has put Dalton 1 lap down. Again, Dalton is coming out of turn number 2, already about a half lap behind, with the number 33 of Gregg went for a spin. That collected Ware, and then the number 21 of Dalton. Dalton going up toward the wall, trying to find out if that car is still race-worthy. Both Ware and Gregg dove into the pit area to make repairs. Even though Dalton took a couple of hits, one on the bumper and one definitely on the left front tire, looks as if Dalton is going to stay on the track. But now, Bruce Tunney has a lap on the entire field with 51 minutes and 6 seconds left to go in the 3 hours of the World Figure 8 Championship. Did Bruce just make a pit stop? Yes, he did. But there's been a pit stop by Bruce Tunney. While we were double-checking the scoring, Bruce Tunney made a pit stop and dove into the pits to make some sort of change to his car. Bruce Tunney has come off the track and has not come back onto the track quickly. This is a major change here with fewer than 50 minutes in the World Figure 8 Championship. Was Bruce deciding to make 2 stops, or is something broken on the car? Bruce earlier made a stop that cost him only 1 lap, but Bruce Tunney has not come back onto the track. We did not see any sort of specific problem with Bruce Tunney's car, but he's been in there for 2 or 3 laps. And that puts Bobby Dowden in charge of the World Figure 8 Championship, despite that collision that he just had. We didn't see any sort of incident during that last caution. There's Bruce Tunney coming back onto the racetrack, but he's got serious trouble now as he storms back onto the track after having lost 2 or 3 laps to the leaders, and Bruce immediately charges through the intersection, driving that car as hard as we've seen all night, and that's saying something.
He gave up basically 2 laps. Down.
So Bruce Tunney, we understand, is about 1 or 2 laps down. We'll have to double check to make certain. So with 48 minutes and 50 seconds left to go in the World Figure 8 Championship, Bruce Tunney is fighting back from a lap down for probably the first time in this event. Dowden, even though he got involved in that little melee near the intersection, is in first place. And Bruce Tunney is trying not only to survive with some more of those slashing moves through the intersection, but he's trying to catch up to Dowden and have a chance to repass him once to get on the lead lap and twice to take the lead. Of course, that's assuming that Dowden can keep on going. Remember, you're dealing with cars that have about 100 miles of fuel in them. And this is about an 80 or 90 mile race, in all honesty. Although it's 80 or 90 miles of which you're going straight for maybe 2 seconds at a time. Minutes on trouble as we had guys going 3 wide into turn number 3 and 4. We saw guys bumping around there, and we thought it might be the worst, but it wasn't that bad. As Donnie Sloan, the number 57, the 22nd alternate, and Gary Ray, the 23rd alternate, and Lonnie Gopel, Manny Aguilar, and now Kenny McDonough are now on the track in the closing laps of the World Figure 8 Championship. So it keeps on getting harder and harder. Again, here's the circumstance. Still in the lead is the number 21 of Bobby Dowden, who dares through the intersection again and again. Bruce Tunney, the number 1, in second place, is a lap and a half behind. Bruce Tunney in heavy traffic, Dowden running all by himself. So Tunney is trying to fight from behind to have a chance to win this event. But still, 46 minutes and 35 seconds left to go in the World Figure 8 Championship. And number 23 of McDonough in 3 and 4 abreast racing almost runs into the number 3 of Rich Fenwick. The intersection with Anderson, among others, right in front of the leading number 1 of Tunney. Close calls, which would be chilling and scary on a regular racing night, are almost taken as just standard procedure here in the Indianapolis Speedrome in the World Figure 8 Championship. The cars are running slower than they had been before. They're running hot, they're running tired, and those are just the cars. The drivers are probably even in worse shape. Dowden making a brave move to try to go to the outside of 3 and 4 abreast racing. The outside of Rival, the outside of Jerry Lee Warren, running through the drainage grate over the west side of the racetrack. And the number 21 of Dowden, the lead car, is trying to cut his way through that traffic as best as possible. And almost a half lap offset with the number 1 of Bruce Tunney, who again is a lap and a half back. There's the number 57 of Sloan making a pit stop and coming into the track. Coming into the pits at the same time, the number 72 of Manny Aguilar comes back onto the track after making a second stop. The third place number 12 of Wayne Arnold is 10 laps down. But as Bruce Denny cuts through the intersection, moves around Gordon Brown's car again, we're told that Wayne Arnold may have to make a second stop, possibly for a splash and go, so we can finish up the balance of this event. So now the tension builds. The combination of the decisions on race strategy have been made, along with the decisions that are made at every inch of this race, having to do with the courage of the drivers, their maneuverability, their ability to work their way into trouble or out of trouble. We saw an example of that just on that second turn with the number 21 of Bob Dowden, and now trouble with the number 23 of McDonough, who has thrown the entire left front wheel off the car. McDonough has lost the left front wheel going to the right-hand turns number 1 and 2. That will be a caution. Kenny McDonough, the final alternate, the 26th alternate, the number 23, was going through the second corner with the right front, hit the wall, and the left front wheel came off. Now we'll have to watch closely to see which of these drivers are going to go in and make pit stops. And, of course, the big question is going to be, where does the pace car pick up the leader? No, the leader is in the pits. The number 21 of Bobby Downton dove into the pits as soon as the caution came out. So there's the number 1 of Tunney, who will try to come around and pick up the lead. There is a wrecker in the exit from the pits to the track. That could be an important point. The wrecker now comes through the exit very slowly. We're watching to see if Douthat comes onto the racetrack shortly. Douthat doesn't have that much time. If Douthat doesn't come onto the racetrack right now, he's going to be some distance back. And I believe right now, Bruce Tunney, the number 1, is retaking the lead. Bruce Tunney, by staying on the track, retakes the lead. Here comes the car flying through the pit area, almost mowing some poor guy down. That's Douthat, the number 21, in second place, who will come back onto the racetrack, but loses the lead on that stop.
On the lead lap now.
Douthat, we understand, remains on the lead lap with 42 minutes and 50 seconds left to go in the World Figure 8 Championship, but by making that quick stop, Douthat has given up first place. That's what
the bridge is never high.
There ain't nobody out there to go down.
Well, how many protests do you call staying on the air for?
After watching what Ted Musgrave used to do to people in some of those ASA races. Oh, I didn't run into it. He just spun it in front of me. As we prepare for the restart, the number 21 of Douthat and the number 1 of Bruce Tunney are still running for the lead, with Tunney up in front, Douthat in second place on the lead lap, third place about 9 laps down, the number 12 of Wayne Arnold. Now in fourth place, the number 87 of Danny Turner, unofficially about a lap ahead or on the same lap as the number 9 of Leonard Nash. They'll be fanned out 5 abreast at the intersection, and Tunney and Gordon Brown will be the first to come through there. Then you'll have Wayne Arnold moving around Deslick, the number 87 of Turner Dicing, the number 23 of Van Meter. Those drivers running ahead of the number 72 of Aguilar and the 007 of Area Senior, then the number 42 of Anderson, the 112 of Thompson, the 95 of Ritchie, and then the second place, number 27 of Bobby Dowden. 40 minutes and 30 seconds left to go in the World Figure 8 Championship. end of a group of a 10-car pack. You've got the number 21 of Dalton, 8.1 seconds back. Dalton almost bringing up sparks as two cars collide. Eslick and the number 007 of Garrigus got together. Eslick gets restarted. At the intersection, Tunney got hit and nailed by the number 112 of Thompson. Thompson has broken Tunney's rear axle, and the championship run for Tunney is over. Tunney trying to cut through the crossover, going off to the left. Thompson was coming at him northbound and hit Tunney squarely in the right rear, breaking the rear axle. Tunney is going to be out of the race. He'll sit there for a while because there's no place for him to go, and he's far enough out of the way that that car is not considered to be in immediate danger. But Tunney in the number 1, after leading so far, is now out. Also stopped on the racetrack as the yellow comes out as the number 23 of Van Meter. Tunney now tries to drive away bit by bit, but after taking that hit, it's obviously damaged the rear of that car. Tunney was only able to drive about 4 or 5 feet before it stalled. The rear axle definitely has been torn loose from its moorings. Major damage to the rear end of that car as Tunney comes off the track. All that happening with about 39 minutes left to go in the World Figure 8 Championship. And that leaves the number 21 of Dalton up in front. The number 12 of Wayne Arnold will be running in second place, about anywhere between 8 to 10 laps back. That was weird because you could see every inch of that one coming.
Yeah. Like that. It's both of them. Obviously, both of them were in for the same spot.
Yep. Well, and the way things are going, Arnold is not out.
No, Arnold is the guy. He's good.
By the way I figured out, it's a 9-minute. It was 10 laps, and I figured that's 9 minutes.
No, Arnold, yeah, Arnold said 3 laps. They said 3 minutes behind.
Yeah, 3 minutes. That's why I meant. That's why. 3 minutes. Yeah. With Tunney most likely out of the event, it's now basically a 2-driver race in a different fashion. The number 21 of Dalton leads. The number 12 of Arnold is in second place, 9 or 10 laps down. That's basically a 3-minute advantage for Dalton in the number 21. Dalton has to keep it between the marker tire and the wall until about 3 minutes left to go, and then he would have the race clinched, or so you would think. But there are still so many dramas that can happen in the final 37 minutes of the World Figure 8 Championship with both of the Tunneys out. Now the number 42 of Anderson is being called over for a quick consultation. He has been told not to pass the pace car, and John Aldridge, our track steward, is instructing Anderson that this is not Louisville and you have to follow some rules even though it is the World Figure 8 Championship. The conversation continues, and I'm not sure who is winning the argument. The only difference is that Anderson, while he sits there, is not making laps. And as a result, as this conversation keeps on going, a heartfelt talk between Anderson and Aldridge. Anderson is being held up for a lap or so, basically for all intents and purposes. That's like the old story where the NASCAR guys, well, if that happens again, I'm going to have to come down and talk to you, but there's no way to get into the infield, so I'll have to wait until the race is over. They're still standing down there. Just wait. I'll be with you in a moment. Yeah. I guess so. That would cost me another lap. Notice the number 112 of Thompson is back on the track, but the number 1 of Tunney, who was the guy on the wrong end of the hit from Thompson at the intersection is back in the pit area. I doubt that sort of axle damage is the sort of thing that they'd be able to fix quickly, and even if they could fix it, Tunney's number 1 would be way, way off the pace. Pace car lights come off. That means we're 1 lap before a restart, and we'll restart that race with about 34.5 minutes left to go in the World Figure 8 Championship. A race that has been chock full of drama, excitement, constantly scary thrills, and still has another 34.5 minutes left to go. With the number 21 of Dalton up in front, the number 12 of Wayne Arnold running in second place, about 10 laps down. Again, we calculate that's about a 3-minute difference between the two drivers. Means that in theory, Dalton can sit out the last 3 minutes of the race and still haven't won. Uh-oh, trouble. Rigdon has spun on the restart at the north end of the racetrack. Fortunately, he stayed off the marker tire. He'll crawl away and will stay under green. So Dalton up in front, again, is, as we said a while ago, trying to maintain and extend the cliche. The only enemy that Dalton has is the crossover. That was certainly the case with Bruce Tunney in the number 21. And Bruce Tunney in the number 1, I should say, and Bruce Tunney lost that war at the intersection. There is a point where bravery does not have enough strength on its own to win a race. Sometimes you have to have good luck, and sometimes just some good strategy. Notice that on this restart, Dalton in the number 21 is flown away from Arnold in the number 12. And at the intersection, Dalton almost threw it all away because he almost strayed into the path of Anderson in the number 42. There are cars all over the intersection. Somebody's got to back down. Nobody does. 6 cars at the intersection. 2 of them were stopped. They were facing in different directions. And somehow he got away without a thundering crash. Now there's the number 3 of Fenwick, trailing the number 21 of Dalton, trying to get a lap back from Dalton. That, whoa, at the intersection, we got 4 cars almost getting together again. And Dalton in the number 21, who can see that clock and the scoring monitor as well as anybody else, has to look up and, like everybody else, figure, when is this race ever going to end? I've got it won. It's almost over. Will somebody make that clock run faster? The time will not be rushed. There are more cars stopped at the intersection. Machines flying at full speed, throwing the crossover. They can't see each other. Oh no, they barely got through there as we're almost got splattered by the cars of Basham and Rodney Sizemore. Now there's the number 23 of Downey stopped at the intersection. There's a complete jam up. There's no place to go. Rifle got hit by Nelson and pushed into Ware. They're still stopped at the intersection, and the yellow comes out. And the victim in that one was poor Victor Rybold of the number 72. The rear end of his car has been totaled out. And still, the number 23 of Downey is not moving. His car stalled. Several cars tried to get out of his way. Ah, the crossover under yellow. Rich Fenwick almost had both ends of his car torn off. And another pit stop is being made by Bobby Dalton in the number 21. Didn't see any sort of indication there was trouble with Dalton's car. He'll make a quick pit stop and roll right back around to pick up the tail end of the field. And Wayne Arnold will get one of his laps back, but he's still the better part of 8 or 9 laps behind the leaders. The ambulance is being scrambled as a precaution, looks like. Rybold may have taken a harder hit from the back than we thought. He's actually laying on the racetrack behind the number 72 and in front of the 2 Indianapolis Speedrome utility vehicles that are there surrounding him as a safety measure. So this is going to take a couple of minutes to resolve. All of the minutes that will come to our relief for Dalton in the number 21. Dalton now realizes that as long as he sits there, oh, to the intersection, Anderson almost got hit by Wayne Arnold as Arnold comes off the track to make a stop. 30 30 minutes and 10 seconds left to go in the World Figure 8 Championship. We're under a caution that could take a little more time than usual to clear up because Victor Reibold in the number 72 took a hit from the back end by the number 91 of Nelson. Nelson lively drove away as if there was no problem. Reibold's on the track on his back being checked by the medics. But again, every minute that clicks away under caution is a minute that Dalton does not have to run at full speed. And Dalton actually waved Manny Aguilar across so Aguilar could continue to pick up to the back of the pack under caution. And watch that. Wouldn't that be an incredible irony if Aguilar... Oh, Aguilar in the crossover almost... They're still arguing over that spot of road with the number 18 of Heiser almost runs over a track official that's sitting in the middle of the road. Oh, no. So Aguilar got waved through the intersection by the number 21 of Dalton. Aguilar then nearly ran into Heiser in the intersection. In tandem, they both almost plowed over a track worker who was just trying to direct traffic. I am not making this up, folks. I am not exaggerating. You know those traffic circles you had over in Great Britain? Yeah, that would cause more trouble. Remember those weird traffic circles you had over in Great Britain? Oh, yeah. Yeah. I was thinking about that when I was seeing this.
If you don't pay attention, you can be circled on the inside of the
It's kind of like when we were driving through Nashville, we found out where all the stock car drivers come from there. I think when you go through one of those roundabouts, you understand where their Grand Prix drivers come from.
Wait, see, there's our 12 back.
Yep.
I'm showing 12 now. It's sitting minus 13, we'll say. So the lead's going to go 21, 87, 12. So your top three.
That's 87 and not 9L, right?
817, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, our 9L Basham disappeared on me at the tail end of the last one.
Well, he's more or less back down there.
I got 12 down for 87.
And so here's the way we're going. We've got actually a race developing for second place, 9 or 10 or 12 laps down. Leader is still 21 Dalton. And then 12 laps down in second place, the 87 of Danny Turner, the gray and blue number 87. Third place, about 13 laps down, the number 12 of Wayne Arnold. And that's about a 4-minute gap between first and second place now. And the number of minutes are rolling down as we've now loaded Victor Reibold onto the gurney. We'll put him in the ambulance and take him outside of the area of the track for further evaluation and or treatment. And with 27 minutes left to go in the World Figure 8 Championship, it's at least a 12-lap gap from first to second place. Oh, by the way, Ronnie Rigdon's still sitting in the south end of the infield. Is somebody going to go get him? The answer is yes. That's my basis of conversation, too. Well, does Bobby Dalton have the necessary restraint to keep from killing himself?
This guy's got more DNFs than anybody on the track.
That's what I mean. Well, you saw where he waited for Aguilar through, and Aguilar almost wrecked, not only wrecked with the Heiser, but they almost plowed down towards Radcliffe. It's like people asking you if you run 500 laps in Bristol at night, do you get dizzy? And I understand usually the answer is no, you're too busy trying to survive. So we have 25 minutes and 12 seconds of the World Figure 8 Championship left to run. And the pace vehicle gets a long, long way out of the way. Let's look at the number 49. Having survived a rollover, will now be racing with the number 21 of Bobby Dalton on the restart. And back in second place, 87 Turner, about a dozen laps down. Then you've got the number 12 of Wayne Arnold, about 13 laps down. Metzlick takes a hit on the restart for the number 6 of Ware. I wonder if Ware hasn't damaged this car because the car's kind of canted at an odd angle. Well, Leslick and Ware are still running in close quarters with each other, but nowhere near the leading number 21 of Dalton. Number 6 of Ware is being black flagged because of problems with that car. Apparently, the hood not being on the machine is considered to be a violation. Ware will not acknowledge the black flag immediately. Smoke from the Nelson number 91. Heavy traffic for the number 21 of Dalton. And Dalton is starting to fight a battle against time and against the crossover. Nelson drifted high in the number 91 and almost took out the red number 9 of McMurtry. Coming back onto the racetrack, the number 23 of Downey. Again, the black flag going out to the number 6, driven by Ware. Ware finally realizes the black flag is for him and promptly pulls off and lets everybody more or less go. Dalton coming through the intersection looking for a racing room and finds it. Ware is at the north end of the racetrack waiting for an opening so he can pull off the track and get into the pits and resolve whatever the problem is. 23 minutes and 25 seconds of the World Figure 8 Championship. Crowded crossover again. No crowded crossover for Dalton, number 21. Nelson pulls off the track of the number 91. He'll surrender at this point. Two cars get together, a spin between the number 9 of McMurtry and the number 31 of Ward. Those drivers get restarted quickly for McMurtry, less quickly for Ward. And McMurtry comes down the other side of the racetrack looking for room at the intersection and has to stop, then nails the throttle to get back underway. Through all this, Dalton finds the racetrack almost blocked at the intersection as Thompson in the number 112 is very slow, heading southbound, cannot get the car to roll, and finally will bring out the caution to get Thompson's car out of the way. And as the pace vehicle tries to get restarted, it gets blocked by Nelson at the number 91. "22 minutes and 15 seconds left to go in the World Figure 8 Championship. Thompson stopped in the middle of the crossover and almost caught on fire. Pace car lights are out at 21 minutes and 2 seconds left to go in the World Figure 8 Championship. Still Dalton in the lead. Danny Turner, the second place driver, runs side by side with Dalton, about a dozen laps behind the pace. That certainly is not going to discourage Turner in number 87 from moving up to race hard with Dalton for that position to try to get one of those laps back. Basically, it's a 4-minute disadvantage between the two drivers, and Dalton and Turner almost banged wheels on the restart. A flat tire would have been a major disadvantage for Dalton. Dalton comes out of the fourth corner, cuts through the Not backing down that much, except at the intersection where he almost ran into Manny Aguilar, the same guy that he rolled through during that caution period about 20 minutes ago. Dalton coming out of the second quarter, again a close encounter with Aguilar in number 72. As everybody else kinds of jostles back and forth trying to find some way to survive in the closing 19 minutes and 35 seconds of the World Figure 8 Championship. Now there's number 02, Kennedy, who was facing the wrong way coming out of turn number 3 and got out of the way and still almost got hit by Keith Ritchie, who was pulling off the track. And some smoke at the south end of the racetrack from a spin by the number 60 of Lonnie Gold. At the crossover of the second place 87 of Turner, ahead of a triad of drivers. And there's the number 6 of Ware coming back onto the racetrack, facing the wrong way in the area of turn number 2. I don't know where he's going or what he's trying to do Ware. Now Ware finally figures out what he's trying to do and heads in the general direction of the intersection, holds up, and then goes into turn number 1. I don't know what's going on here. Maybe they don't either. All but stack up at the intersection. They slow, they get disengaged at full speed as Dalton, who's been a contender for the Figure 8 Championship in several ways, the Indianapolis Speedrome. On the crossover, the Basham car just meandered through rather casually, almost scattered a half dozen cars, and kept on going. No harm, no foul, no thundering crash. And the number 21 of Dalton looks up at the clock, sees 18 minutes left to go in the World Figure 8 Championship, and begs the clock to run just a little faster. Just a little faster, please, he says, but the clock stares back at him and goes on ticking as if it's its own business. Its time is the clock's time and not Bobby Dalton's time. Dalton's time may be time for victory here eventually, but that's still 17 minutes and 35 seconds away. Dalton with an escort now, the number 9 of Leonard Basham and the number 51 of Rodney Seidman, drives away from those drivers, putting additional laps on each machine. Smoke now from the Kennedy number 02 on the right rear, on the left rear I should say, and that could or may slow him down. And there's the 88. Oh, slowing down was Kennedy, big time coming out of turn number 2. He almost got run over by 6 cars. Kennedy stops at the intersection, smoke pouring from his machine. Will he be able to move? Kennedy's not going one direction, he's not going in the other direction. Kennedy's being passed on both sides, and now he finally pulls away. The leader is working his 390th lap now. At lap number 375, 15 laps before this point. The leader was Dalton, number 21. Turner in 87 was 11 laps down. Also 11 laps down was the third place, number 12 of Wayne Arnold. Fourth place, 14 laps down was the number 3 of Fenwick. And fifth place, 15 laps down was Basham. Ford and Basham nearly had their last ride there for a moment at the crossover of the Indianapolis Speedrome. 15 minutes, 15 seconds left to go in the World Figure 8 Championship. So far, the number 21 of Dalton is running exceptionally strong in this last green flag period and is now closing up on the number 12 of Wayne Arnold, who could go 12 laps down here shortly. 21 of Dalton works on the number 31 of Doug Gray. And those drivers have had several issues between themselves over the years, but they've kind of resolved things over the years. And Doug Gray actually built the car that Dalton is trying to drive to the World Figure 8 Championship. Masham now comes out. Masham has hit the wall over here in turn number 1 on the approach to the first corner. Masham was trying to go into turn number 1. The car did not agree. Masham had been running in the top 5. Steady, but not quite on the ultimate leader's pace all through the event. Masham not in a position to get his second World Figure 8 Championship, but we appreciate him being on hand to give this race a special bit of spice. Minutes and 14 seconds left to go in the World Figure 8 Championship, approaching 400 laps of racing. The Olmsted Towing wrecker moves out to do its deed once again, this time to pick up the car of the former World Figure 8 champion. There comes the number 6 of Artie Beware back on the racetrack as the number 89 of Oza Hoosier pulls off the track. And then we're coming to 399 laps this next time by, with about 12.5 minutes left to go in this contest. And those numbers on the scoreboard are not changing fast enough for Dalton, who is trying to hold on to win his first World Figure 8 Championship. And Doug Gregg is kind of out there patrolling with Dalton, hoping to come home as the winner of the World Figure 8 Championship car, I believe, for the first time ever. So Leonard Basham, the grand champion, moves off the track, mopping his brow. He knows he's had a tough night, and he waves to the crowd, and we'll salute him as well. Leonard Basham for coming all the way up from Jeffersonville and challenging the world's best in the World Figure 8 Championship, which now has 11 minutes and 51 seconds left. Yellow lights are back out. 11.5 minutes left to go in the World Figure 8 Championship and 400 laps completed. Dalton, with no argument whatsoever about the caution laps because they make it a lot easier for him to get through the final minutes. And again, Dalton is getting close to the point where he will now have an insurmountable lead here in the next couple of minutes. If everything still goes his way, if he manages to make everything work, and there are still no guarantees in the World Figure 8 Championship as we come to lap number 401, and Dalton takes the advantage as we go into the first turn with 10 minutes and 45 seconds left to go. Dalton draws away from the number 87 of Danny Turner, who he's left about 11 or 12 laps back. There's still about 20 cars in combat, including the number 60 of Lonnie Cole, large in the windshield. Dalton is looking through the crossover that time. Now he has to watch out for Shackleton in the number 47. There's Ward in the number 31 doing an extra loop at the west side of the racetrack, looking for some place to go. Ray spins the number 11, and Dalton comes to the intersection to finish his 403rd lap with 10 minutes and 7 seconds left to go in the World Figure 8 Championship. Dalton is still driving that car incredibly hard. Dalton goes into turn number 1 with 9 minutes and 48 seconds left to go in the World Figure 8 Championship. He backs off just a bit for crossover traffic and watches as David Reel cuts across his bow as Reel comes out of the track and comes back to the pits. Here's Dalton coming across the stripes with 9 minutes and 33 seconds left to go, running at an 18.5-second pace. And that was even when he slowed down at the intersection for lap traffic. 9.5 minutes left to go in the World Figure 8 Championship. Working his 406th lap. Dalton at full speed coming out of turn number 4, running qualifying lap pace at 18.2 seconds around the track and closing up on lap traffic in the process. Dalton sweeps around the number 007 of Garrigus. The only place where it looks like Dalton is slowing down is on the approach to turns number 2 and 4, and at the intersection where necessary. That lap was about 19.2 seconds. He had to slow down a bit. At the intersection, Doug Brake meanders across the front of Shackelford and Wayne Arnold. And Ford pulls right in front of the leader and gets away with it. 8 minutes and 35 seconds. They got 39 seconds to go in the World Figure 8 Championship. Dalton slips into the second turn of his 409th lap. In the number 11 has stalled. Now he gets back underway very, very gradually. Dalton coming out of turn number 4 has to watch for Ford again. 410 laps are in the books. 409 laps, I'll say, for the leader. 8 minutes and 10 seconds left to go in the World Figure 8 Championship. Dalton is clear of some traffic. Now guns underneath Eslick in turn number 4 of his 410th lap. 8 minutes now left to go in the World Figure 8 Championship. Dalton comes out of the second corner, has to watch for traffic in the intersection once again. There's Artie Beware right underneath him, and just ahead of him, that number 72 of Aguilar, and Wayne Arnold, the third place driver, who's about ready to go the better runner 12 laps down. Arnold slowed down to keep him running into Anderson, and the number 21 of Dalton had to slow down as well. Now there's the number 72 of Aguilar trying to move around Wayne Arnold, as does the number 21 of Dalton. Dalton still has to deal with Aguilar one way or the other here on his 412th lap with 7 minutes and 20 seconds left to go in the World Championship. And Ware in the intersection got hit by Eslick, who then almost got plastered by the number 50 of Ward. 50 of Ford, I should say. Ware finally gets back underway. Spins that car in frustration and disgust. 7 minutes to go in the World Figure 8 Championship. 21 Dalton continues to lead. 11 laps down in second is the number 87 of Turner. 11 laps down in third place is the number 12 of Arnold. 15 laps down in fourth place is the number 3 of Rich Bennett. Rodney Sizemore, the number 51 car, unofficially is in 5th place, but he's the better part of 30 or 40 laps down after the stop to fix that major smoking problem that car had. 6 minutes, 20 seconds left to go in the World Figure 8 Championship. Keith Ritchie back on the track at the number 95. One car goes into the pit area. Didn't see who that was. I think it was Ritchie. It was Ritchie that made. No, it wasn't Ritchie that made the stop. 5:52 to go in the World Figure 8 Championship. Dalton on the charge, cutting through the intersection. Has to watch for Doug Brake at the number 33. Now I see who made that pit stop. That was, no, it wasn't. I thought it was Wayne Arnold. I'm not sure who made that stop. It's kind of out of our view. As the saying goes, that's racing. Now, Rodney Sizemore is going to come up and have some fun with Dalton. Sizemore comes to the low side of Dalton, trying to get one of his laps back, and almost rubs against the number 50 of Kevin Ford. And Dalton lets Sizemore go with 5 minutes. 5 minutes left to go in the World Figure 8 Championship. trying to get close to the number 87 of Turner to race for position. Not able to do so. On the crossover, big crash involving Manny Aguilar, the number 72 that got hit hard by the number 60 of Goebel. And the cars are still coming through the intersection at full speed, finally back down after the caution came out. The number 60 of Goebel ran into the right rear of the Aguilar number 72. Goebel comes off the track. Aguilar's number 72 sits in the infield. Make it 4 minutes left to go in the World Figure 8 Championship. The race officials move out quickly to check out the number 72 of Manny Aguilar. We're coming down to red. We are coming down to red to check out Manny Aguilar. We're coming down to red, and the red will be displayed with 3 minutes and 46 seconds left to go in the World Figure 8 Championship.
The ambulance out. We're not going to settle it under the yellow flag. Ambulance will come out to deal with the 72 of Aguilar.
Aguilar is gradually moving around inside of the car. The ambulance is being brought out as a precaution to check him out. That's also the reason that the fiberglass roof was removed from that car. Aguilar very slowly removes the helmet from his machine. Again, the red came out on the leader's 422nd lap, and with 3 minutes and 46 seconds to go in the World Championship.
We'll have to do the restart lineup by hand.
No indication that Aguilar is in serious shape. As you can see, he is very gradually getting out of the car, bit by bit, walking, obviously in some pain, but still able to walk away. Aguilar is pretty much in good shape. So what we're going to do is to make sure that Aguilar is taken off the track on the gurney if necessary. Then we'll put together a restart order and run the final 3 minutes and 46 seconds of the race under green. We are trying to come up with a green flag finish here at the Indianapolis Speedrome for the World Figure 8 Championship. This is the best way we know of to guarantee a green flag finish for this great World Championship event. And now we're getting set for the final start of this race. As soon as we've established that the track is clear to go, we will restart the clock. We will restart the clock and resume the contest. We're waiting for the officials' directions on under which circumstance the clock will be restarted. Again, the red came out for a moment because of the incident involving Manny Aguilar. Aguilar is now okay. Getting set for the restart. We'll come back to green here very shortly. The clock has now been restarted. we stand corrected, the clock will be restarted here shortly. The clock will go back to green. The clock will be restarted as soon as we come back to green here shortly, and with any luck, we'll get things back underway shortly with 3 minutes and 45 seconds to go in the World Figure Eight Championship. Again, the circumstance, the number 21 of Bob Dalton has himself a lead of the better part of about a dozen laps over the number 87 of Danny Turner's about 11 lap advantage. And the small number of cars left on the track will be those who will battle to the very end. Out of the fourth corner, the green flag flies and will resume the race timing. 3 minutes and 40 seconds left to go in the World Figure Eight Championship. About 20 cars left on the track. One of them, Keith Ritchie, spins to the south end of the track. He'll continue and go above the marker tire just in case. Those tires repainted at the beginning of the evening's festivity had been yellow. Now they are all completely black on the area where the cars come down to the salt from time to time again. Dalton at the north end of the racetrack may encounter the number 50 of Kevin Ford. Ford rolling through the fourth corner away from the outside line. Loses yet another lap to the incessant rampage of number 21 of Dalton. Dalton on the south end of the racetrack with 3 minutes left to go, working his 425th lap, and we may go down the yellow here with the number 50 Ford on the high side of the racetrack. No, we'll stay under green for the time being. Ford's car is far enough out of the way that we have decided that that machine will not be an interference. 2.5 minutes left to go in the World Figure Eight Championship. The number 21 of Dalton continues to roll up in front. Dalton cuts through an intersection that becomes clearer and clearer all the time because there are fewer and fewer cars to deal with. 2 minutes and 15 seconds to go in the World Figure Eight Championship. Ford's car is out of the way. Dalton's car is up in front and running faster and faster, running almost qualifying times as he gets set for the finish of this World Championship as he cuts through the intersection. There's the number 9 of Leonard Bastian coming back onto the track. His machine has been repaired after its hit. And as Bob Dalton cuts through yet another major crossover confrontation, the time now starts to look better and better for Bob Dalton, who's looking for a victory in the World Figure Eight Championship. 1 minute and 35 seconds left to go in the World Championship. Dalton moves past the stalled car of Ford, beyond the number 18 of Heiser. Watches as others now start to charge through the intersection and try to survive. About 18 cars still running in the Indianapolis Speedrome with 1 minute and 15 seconds left to go in the World Figure Eight Championship. Bob Dalton, who's been disappointed many times in this world title chase, now finds himself up in front and charging with what could be an insurmountable lead with just over 1 minute left to go. Mark it, 60 seconds left to go in the World Figure Eight Championship. These drivers are the greatest survivors of figure eight racing in the United States. They have battled back through adversity and disappointment to be here at the Indianapolis Speedrome. Some of them have exploded in flames. Others, the drivers like Eslick and number 49, have been upside down tonight. They've gone through pit stops. They have gone through blood, sweat, and tears to roll. Closing stages of the 25th World Figure Eight Championship, where many can participate and will be honored by the participation, but only one driver can win the $25,000. They'll be part of the World Figure Eight Championship for the year 2001, the 25th World Championships in the Indianapolis Speedrome. As we close down on this World Championship, we will now look to the clock to count down the final seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Now we watch for the Bobby Dalton car to come out of turn number 4. We watch for the double checkered flags, and Bobby Dalton comes across the line in glory and $25,000 richer. A new World Figure Eight champion goes for a victory spin on the backstretch of the oval at the Indianapolis Speedrome, breathed in smoke, soon to be wreathed in cash as he'll come home $25,000 richer to win the most dramatic and most intense World Figure Eight Championship in the 25-year history of this track. Bobby Dalton started to move to the forefront of competitors in the Indianapolis Speedrome 2 years ago when he won the late model championship. Then he ran into what some might have called a bad 2000 racing season, came back in 2001 and had some good runs, but not every bit of luck that he would have wanted. All of that frustration of the last 2 years, all of that unhappy feeling, all of the anger that he might have felt at not being able to win another Indianapolis Speedrome late model championship now is going to be completely forgotten because of his victory in this World Figure Eight Championship. And he gets to take the twin checkered flag that he was given just a moment or so ago on another victory spin as he's got the burnouts right, as this celebration is certainly going to go on for a long, long time. Bob Dalton, the big dog, comes through the back end of the racetrack doing some victory spins for the guys over there as this Skiles Country Auto Parts and Kenny's Auto Sales Machine finally is the world champion, and he has every right to celebrate. Everything finally went right for Bobby Dalton. Everything went right when so many things went wrong over the last couple of years. And Bob Dalton does one more victory spin here at the flag stand, a victory spin that he has definitely earned. Bob Dalton now will finally get out of the car to the cheers of the crowd. Ladies and gentlemen, $25,000 richer, having survived an intense battle through the crossover, having survived some amazing challenges all over the racetrack. Here he is, your World Figure Eight champion, Bob Dalton.
All year long. He struggled the last 2 years, but the biggest one comes in for him. Bobby D, you did it. You got the big one. Well, I'll tell you what. It's a dog, yeah. I really want to say, man, I was so close last year. And I don't know. I never dreamed of this. I got to thank my sponsors before I forget. Kenny's Auto Sales, D-Transport, Randy Allen Racing Engine, Skiles Country Auto Parts, Bill Skiles, still my main man, Jeff Jones Electric, Jordan Marine, and the guy who built my car kept shooting this crossover at me. It was looking so sweet there. You kept Bruce in sight. You kept everything. The winner in the world kept him in sight. And there you were at the end when the race came to you. Good job, good move. It looks sweet out there.
All right, thanks. Bruce Tony had a hell of a run going. Crossover again, takes it away from you. He dominated the racetrack the last 2 years. We won 1 in 2 years, but if this is what it means, I had to wait. I'm #1 now.
Nobody bigger in the figure eight right now. So I gotta know what's the secret. I'm sitting there going along all year long. Call these guys, say, what you plan to do is 3 hour. I'm talking to guys from Florida, from Washington, from Michigan, all over. And one fella they keep saying, Bobby Dalton. Yeah, Bruce. Yeah, Jack. But Bobby Dalton. What do you got your own little penthouse club going out there?
It's been a long time coming, I guess. We worked really hard, and I got the hats off to the guys to help me ever since I started at Chip McCormick.
Chip?
over there. Jim, this is your one chance now. You've been here how many years now?
2 years. That's Bobby, ever since he started, probably about 12, 15 years.
Exactly. When have you had a chance to talk to these good people out here?
Never, but I'm glad we're here today.
You drove a heck of a race car out there, didn't you?
Yeah, Bobby did. There was someone I can't overlook, and that's the guy who picked me up when I'm probably going to be done racing, and that's when he got off. My head's off to him.
Billy, it's been a tough road for you this season as well. I think Bobby saved it all for last, didn't he?
Yeah, I just tried to step back. We wasn't doing any good, so I tried to step back, give these guys a chance to do what they could on their own, and they showed what they could do.
They did, brought it on home. Holy cow, what a crowd out here. I lost my John. Where'd John's bird go? I think he... So, I guess the other big question is, what's the plan for the money? 40.
Thank all the fans for hanging around. It was a long night last night. Appreciate everybody coming out. Hope to do the same thing next year.
Let's do it all over again, huh? Kevin, let me extricate myself from here a little bit and we'll get our thing together.
Corey, looks like you're having more fun than all of us put together down there in the middle of one of the great celebrations of the year of the Indianapolis Speedrome. A great celebration becomes greater when you have somebody that appreciates the accomplishments, because accomplishments for them have become few and far between. Bobby Dowden, the driver of the number 41, is no stranger to success. The big dog is a former late model champion of the Indianapolis Speedrome. But even though he had been successful in the 1999 racing season, the year 2000 had not been quite as much fun, and there also were frustrations in the 2001 racing season. All of those frustrations have now melted away in the wake of the glory of what accompanied his victory, an upset of sorts in the World Figure Eight Championship, some might say.
But recall that Dalton in this event was up in front all the way through the contest, never fell off the lead lap, was always running in contention. And when so many other drivers ended up with their sort of frustrations, it was Dalton that was on time, in the right place, at the right time to win the World Figure Eight Championship. But if there is one driver and one crew who, in your announcer's estimation, deserves credit for going above and beyond the call of duty in an amazing team performance to keep a car going, that would be the crew from the Pacific Northwest of the number 49 car driven by Don Eslick. Remember that about midway through the World Figure Eight Championship, Eslick's car ended up on its roof, colliding with another car and flipping over in front of the Jonathan Byrd Cafeteria Family section. At that point, when the wreckers got that car back on all fours, and roughly so, your announcer was absolutely convinced that Eslick's car was totally, absolutely out of the World Figure Eight Championship, that we'd not see that car again. The announcer, as he has been several times today, was wrong. Eslick's crew did not give up. They went back into the pit area. They rebuilt that car once or twice and got it back into the race. If there's a sort of great emotional moral victory award for this track, which really doesn't exist, it would have to, one of them would have to go to Eslick's group. The other one would go to the Thompson crew for the number 112. Remember, Thompson's car scared all of us early in the race when it exploded into flames for refueling. Again, we thought Thompson was out of the race. Thompson's car came back and ran strongly, even surviving the crossover crash with Bruce Tunney to be running near the finish of the event. And so, all of the dreams of one year have come to fruition for Bobby Dalton, the winner of the World Figure Eight Endurance Race and a first-time World Championship. For everybody else, there will be a rematch next week in the Indianapolis Speedrome as our 60th anniversary postseason continues next Friday night with Roadrunners, Stocks, Legends, Bandoleros, and Baby Grands, with the doubleheader final fling next Saturday night that will see the 50-lap team figure eight and the modified versus late model 50-lap oval challenge. Then on Friday the 21st of September, you'll have the Sunshine Cafe Roadrunner Hutchison signed stock qualifying races along with Legends and Bandoleros. And then on Saturday night, the 22nd of September, you'll have the Sunshine Cafe 100-lap Roadrunner feature. You'll have the Hutchison signed stock 100 and the Cheaters 50 open competition 50-lap figure eight. Racing the Indianapolis Speedrome will then continue on Saturdays and Sundays, especially the Colonel Sod Series in October, and then it will conclude on Sunday, the 18th of November, with the Snowball 100 for Outlaw Stocks, a late model figure eight, and Roadrunners. We thank you for being in the Indianapolis Speedrome. Appreciate your being on hand. Be sure to check out the souvenir stand on the way out to get your double commemorative souvenir 16th anniversary Indianapolis Speedrome shirts and sweater shirts that also celebrate the 25th World Figure Eight Championship. And remember that we will be back on the second weekend of September of the year 2002 for the 26th World Figure Eight Championship. It may not see the $25,000 purse for the winner, but we can guarantee you that there will be a lot of money scattered through the purse that will make it a lot more worth the while of the little guy that shows up and looks for a chance to succeed here in the Indianapolis Speedrome. For all the people that now crowd the pit area, both spectators and the very brave and intrepid drivers and crews who tried so hard to bring victory to themselves at the Indianapolis Speedrome, whether you ended up as a winner or ended up on the trailer, we thank you for your participation in the world's most unique stock car race and the greatest figure eight contest the world has ever seen. And we look forward to see you next year at the Indianapolis Speedrome for the 26th World Figure Eight Championship. For everybody else, we'll see you next weekend for more postseason action next Friday and next Saturday here at the Indianapolis Speedrome.